What is going on, YouTube world? Steve, Dave, and Vinny live for another Insert Revolution podcast, episode number 54. I am 50 feet, 100 feet from Lake Superior. I'm at the bathhouse, the wash house, because there's internet here, there's Wi-Fi, and that's when you run out of data, you got to find a way to sync up. So that's what we're doing tonight, and I'll be on for a little while. I won't be on for the whole show. Steve is shockingly in control tonight, so if you have any comments, criticisms, questions, complaints, direct him his way, please.
Thanks, Dave.
You're welcome. Courtesy. That's what we need in the hobby.
Really? We're already going to start there? Jeez. This is going to be an interesting show, to say the least.
They usually are. The train must derail quickly. So yeah, I'm on vacation for another, through the weekend, but Friday's our last morning here. We got to check out by, I think, noon. But it's been good. We got rain. We finally got rain. Last, Saturday. I think we got 1.5 inches. No, Jason. No. On Lake Superior, it's rest. I don't. Fishing is cost too much. And I don't have the patience for it. I'd love to, but I don't care. Once you start piling up a boat license, a trailer, fishing poles, reels, all the tackle boxes, licenses, everything that goes with it, I'd rather go to the store. If I want to fish, get some walleye there and spend $10 or whatever on that instead of 300, 400, 600. And then in the summer, I don't, not to sound important, but yeah, there's no time. This is the one time in the summer I'm swinging it for, it's the end of the summer up here, and I need to get away and decompress, get away from the people, which, yeah, our campsite, if you look at mine, I got a wave video up, and then I got a rant, of course. What Lake Superior camping trip wouldn't be complete with a rant? So
I was going to say that's that's a given these days. It's the yearly pilgrimage. So of course you got to have the Lake Superior rant of some sorts or some fashion.
And that's the first time I've been on that little rock island thing. That was a trek. Trying not to have the phone in my pocket, get wet. Then on the way back, I slipped and fell, and it got a little wet, but it's a train wreck. Yeah, the bathhouse. I got to make some more money, some way, somehow. It's got to be made. There are cards to purchase. So, but as I've been up here, that's allowed me to have time. It's not suckers. Suckers are the only thing we can spear up here legally, and I don't think until like October, November. So I don't want to get a ticket because you know what? I want to have card money. That's important. Ticket money from sucker or spearing something that isn't a sucker out of season. That means no cards, and that's not good. But the time up here has allowed me to come up with some topics, a couple here and there, which I did show Steve the other day, and I added a bunch more to it because.
Of course you did, Dave. Of course you did, because that's what you do.
When there's no distractions and you can just sort of sit. That's the rare thing, that the brain isn't usually going a million miles an hour on something else. So I was able to watch a couple videos before the data get out, and watched some of our good friend 8th grade home ec wardrobe, using a couple of them, and some of these other idiots, and it's easy to get once you start watching about 4 or 5 of them, you can hammer about 10, 15 subjects. I mean, some of those will mold and meld together, but just watching these clowns and the circus, like we had in April, when's the circus going to stop? Never. Not with these clowns in there. So it's easy to pick up a lot of the topics because they make it easy.
Well, as long as it finds a way to fuel the brain, I guess, in order to come up with some interesting paths to take. The whole objective is to, kind of keep the IRP moving, and got to rely on other people to provide some sort of topics for conversation.
Yeah, we have to the brain works a little bit too, and try to get a chance today to do what I told you I wanted to do tomorrow. I think because we spent better part of the afternoon, a couple 3 hours sitting on one of the beaches near Grand Marais, just picking rocks and driftwood. So I didn't get to email a guy, but I know today or tomorrow I'll do that and try to set something up. And I know the viewers, I think, will be interested. At least the folks that remember the insert part of the insert revolution. That hope we can finagle something there and do something of value in that regard. Which is it's tough for us to do that because it's like we said, it's more like blog TV. We just get on here, and instead of we had the co-hosts on blog TV, but you're always that little box in the corner. Sometimes you could minimize and maximize, but it wasn't the same where everybody was sort of on equal footing. Or you could get somebody bigger if they had something to show off or whatever, and take the full screen. But I think it'll be interesting. As we've discussed, follow-up questions were left on the table that didn't even get asked by certain other hobbyists, which that's fine. That's their MO, that's their goal, that's their pathway. But there's a lot of stuff I know we can come up with and not have to think too awful hard about it. So it'll be fun. I think we can do well and just integrate this person as just a regular person on the show and not have him feel slightly uncomfortable at all or cut off stories. I mean, story time, that's what we're here for. I'm rambling. I'm not even the host tonight. I'm rambling again like I am. So
No, you're still the host because you're in the spot where you need to be. I did that on purpose.
I was there, and that ain't happening. I ramble, but my ramblings aren't as Dave Archer-esque.
We can do it again.
Back to the bottom. Back to the bottom. Thank you.
So before we get too far, Dave.
that is tours. Tap into the Rockies. The mountains are blue.
Well, a little bit. Not
Bluish.
They're getting white fairly quick from coming outside. It only got to 99 today with the heat index of like 105. Nothing major.
It was 58 here this morning. I was in my glory. It's like you could stay here the rest of the year. I'd be happy.
Mm-hmm. I think we got up to about 70 today, and then overnight is about 55. So perfect.
Well, it'll be interesting. I think we have. Yeah, we're going to get into the weather forecast again. But I think we have like 99 the rest of the week, which, going into September, you're going, okay, well, September is supposed to be, close to the start of fall. Mm-hmm. Temperature should be starting to drop a little bit. Yeah, that's not happening. So it'll be interesting, to say the least, at least through this week, and hoping before long we'll start seeing a drop in temperature to where it's not completely an utter sickness as you walk outside the door and pull your shirt away from your sweat-laced torso.
Yeah, that's it won't be that like that until I don't know. It's got to be a few more days anyway, because it's got to be some front moving in by the weekend. Because I think whatever our good friend DC seems to have evaded catastrophic and cataclysmic damage down there in the Louisiana area. But there's a front, I believe, moving through, so that's able to sweep the hurricane away right now. And I don't know how quickly it'll go, but I know it just moved through here. It would have been Saturday or Sunday, so it's been welcomed relief here because it was bad. Our first day is like 85 up here, and that's not warm, but you're right next to Lake Superior, and it's that warm. We've never had it that warm, and then the wind. It's been minimal wind, other than that video I put up with all the waves that day. That was basically, and then I'm guessing Saturday, because then we went back to Trista's to get do some laundry, and we knew that Saturday was going to be stormy, which it ended up being because I got, I think, 2 inches of rain over where that fire's at. So happy to get that. I think that now is at 26,000 acres, but it's like 37% contained now. So they've really come up on that. And a couple of the people I know, they've been allowed back in. So, but keep your stuff packed, as I said, at a moment's notice, you could be back on the way out, depending on wind and how dry everything gets and whatnot. So it'll be interesting.
Well, at least that's some positive news, because there for a while it seemed to be getting 100% out of control. So rain's a good thing. They've got it somewhat contained a little bit, so they're making progress. So that's always a good thing. And, as you alluded to, DC, safe and sound, including his parents. So for those who know the Cardboard Underground on Instagram, he has been keeping us in the loop. We've been checking on him. So all is well from that standpoint. So if you think about it, reach out to him on Instagram. Just say, hey, thinking about you type situation. Let him know that you are thinking about him. So
yeah, because it's something like in New Orleans, it's fucking bad. It's like Katrina all over again with the damage. And the wrestler that I've mentioned before, that I've said is in the Wolverine, that gets the Wolverine spikes through the bottom of his jaw. He's down there, and he says it's going to be a while. I think they've power, and then I don't know, water. Both those things are going to be out for the foreseeable future. This isn't like a week or a few days till the weekend's over. It's going to be possibly till the end of September. So that's you wonder why folks rebuild, but at the same time, when your roots are that sunk in or that deep, they're buried that deep there, you want to stay, you want to persevere, you don't want to, I don't want to say be labeled as a quitter or somebody that gives up, but at the same time, it's a struggle down there. You're below sea level. You have, even with whatever foot high levees, you've had multiple problems in the past. It's not going to go away, but you can't tell people what to do. It just say, hey, move on out. It's a losing battle, but who are we to do that? We aren't. We just got to try to support them when they're in their time of need.
Exactly.
But so, Benny, anything big on the radar card wise? Don't have to say what it is, or just anything got some crosshairs on.
Yeah, my big one got zapped yesterday. The big one I was looking for, but with the new budget, it wasn't feasible. But I had my crosshairs on a bunch of stuff, smaller stuff, still needs for the PC. So I'm content. got a lot of side stuff going on with other collections, not the Mario stuff. So I'm keeping myself lively. It's never a dull moment. I'm finding good deals everywhere.
Good deals only.
Yep. That's how I roll. So,
of course, your wife is asking which one was that? Of course, you'll need to have a side conversation if you don't want to spoil it, I guess.
correct.
That'll be an interesting conversation.
She's well aware of one it was because I showed it to her.
She's obviously forgotten.
It's the Halo little thing. It's the opposite of that, gentleman. She knows well what it is, but she chooses to play sweet and innocent.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
I don't think so, Skinner.
Christmas in September?
She has the patience of the squirrel. That's her patience level. Hey, I got you something for Christmas. Here it is. It's insane.
In February.
Yeah. It's very hard to deal with. I'll keep something for 4 months. Never say one word, but not her.
Yeah, well. Be thankful. Be thankful.
I am.
I got one thing. I didn't get shut out for, so July was one pickup, which I showed. August was not a shutout because it actually showed up today. I don't know if I want to spoil it yet. I will say it's kind of agitating when a seller lists something wrong, but at least you do the due diligence and realize that you still needed it either way. So it was listed as 99. It's actually 2,000, but doesn't matter. It's still a need from that perspective. And it's one of my more favorite parallels, I would say. It's kind of like a staple from that brand for many years. Of course, Vinny and Dave know what it is. I'll go ahead and wait to show it off next show. And then, of course, we have a doggo in the picture. And, of course, Ed's not here because he'll be on a flight coming home at some point from his debauchery in Vegas. We'll have to get him on, I guess, next week and hear all about it. And it'd have been cool to have him on since we've talking, since the whole subject of the episode is, related to, vacations, so to speak, and where our favorite spots are, and if they've had any impact related to our collecting, whether it be as an adult or kids. Of course, now we've got Dave spinning. We'll give it a few minutes. Hopefully he comes back.
Somebody flushed.
It's always a possibility.
When the tank loads up, he'll be back.
Maybe. But yeah, it's one of those. It would have been cool to have Ed kind of talk about all his experiences because he saw Morrissey that he was there for, Benny? You can shake your head. You don't have to unmute yourself. Which is what I thought. And I know he posted one video. Yep, we lost Dave. We'll see if he comes back. It's one of those in which you never know when you're on Wi-Fi, public Wi-Fi in that situation, and a ton of people potentially are trying to use it. Dog says hi. And bye, for that matter. We do realize that it's probably going to be a lighter showing. Oh, he's back. Let me bring him back in here. He's back.
Like I said, this is going to be interesting.
Well, we've expected it, and we'll plan for it accordingly. I I was just making mention that it would have been cool to have Ed on here, just because he was just visited Vegas for the first time. And I was just mentioning to everybody, we're probably going to have a little bit lighter of a crew this evening. A certain unnamed individual decided to do a special set of episodes today, which is fine. We get it. Everybody has an option and a choice on what they want to watch on a Tuesday night. We do appreciate those that, make it a thing to hang out with us, regardless of how cheesy the episode may be or how uneventful it may be. We can always make it eventful, though. We can always find ways to make it enjoyable, funny, off the cuff. And in Dave's case, the opening of Pandora's box, which he has a tendency to do frequently. But from a vacation perspective, Dave, specifically, where did you want to take this conversation? Since, of course, I always say you are the mastermind when it comes to these things.
I want to sort of intertwine when going back to when we were either kids or like teens. A lot of times I remember going on a vacation and cards would somehow sneak their way in. And I wouldn't mind talking, like, what's your favorite place to vacation or your favorite vacation memory? Just no card wise, even if cards are involved, that's great. If not, that's fine as well. But again, just instead of having the usual cheesy intros that you paid somebody for, which are just terrible musically. I mean, literally sounds like a sixth grader made it. I mean, but that's whatever you want to do with that lifestyle, you can. It is that lifestyle. And then if you want to read from a computer screen a panned message or whatever from the week before, you can do that too. Again, life is full of choices and options. We're thankful that people that choose us. But the one I'd start with for me, vacation wise, I've mentioned, I think before, when we went throughout the Midwest and down towards Arkansas, coming back up through Tennessee and Kentucky. Dad wanted to visit his family back in, I think, 91. So we had stopped in Iowa for several days because that's where a majority of them are. And I had got the 90 score factory set. There's a huge like end cap. And I don't even know what store it was. Because as a kid then, unless it was like KB or Toys R Us or something like that, you weren't paying lots of attention when you're 10. You're just like, okay, we're going to the store. That's it. We're at the store. So I remember getting that, opening it up. Frank Thomas card had a green printing defect on it. The one card, being a lifelong Frank Thomas fan, starting way back then. So that was the first card I had ever sent in back to a company. Was a letter. I said, hey, we got this set, or my dad and mom bought me the set, and this Frank Thomas has a little green dot on it. If you had one without the green dot, I'd be very, very thankful for it. And thank you, and my name and return address. And I got the typed up letter from Score with the new Frank Thomas rookie. And again, it was like 6 to 8 weeks later. But remembering stopping in Missouri, there's a card shop on the side of the highway. Going up there and getting a couple packs of the 1990, what was it, the CCM, TCMM, whatever that minor league set, where it's like 1,000 or 1,200 cards. And there's a Juan Gonzalez one. I pulled that. Another guy that I'm a big fan of then, still am now. Just the memories during a vacation, even when summer, because that's when kids, you'd be out with your friends. hey, we've mowed some lawns, we've done chores or whatever it is. Paper out, we got money. Let's go to the card shop. Let's go trading. That's when you really start to sow the seeds of the hobby in your formative years. Because if you didn't trade or anything, you'd play video games, then you trade. Do something. Play fort. Play whatever. Go ripping around on your bikes, doing something. But it always lead back somehow to some way, at least for me, to cards. And just that's the sort of stuff that I want to sort of intertwine with summer. I won't say winding down, but the kid aspect of it, with kids going back to school either today or within the next week. So that's where I sort of wanted to go.
Okay. I was curious because it can take on multiple facets, and I don't ever want to think about quote unquote derailing the conversation. Sorry, Vinny, I just realized you weren't in your spot. My bad. I was trying to give you a bump in confidence there for a minute. So Dave kind of touched on a couple of his. Vinny, anything from your perspective, even not necessarily from like your childhood years, even more recent for that matter. Anything that you want to kind of throw out there?
Well, in the summers back in Pennsylvania, they used to have on Sunday mornings, they used to have the Periopolis Flea Market. And it was a card haven back in the day. So when you went there was just cards and more cards and some cards. You could get your pepperoni roll and stroll through the lanes of endless cards. Wax, singles, vintage, quote unquote, junk wax to the heart's content. It was the best way to spend a Sunday morning in my youth in the summers, because we really didn't go on vacations. I probably didn't go on a vacation until I was in my 30s when I had my own family. So, those are the memories of my two brothers and I and my aunt or my uncle going to the flea market, or my dad. We would go to the flea market and just go through every little card to try to find whatever deal that we could afford and bring that stuff home. I still have cards. My dad found my binder of Lemieux cards where I first started setting up my collection back in, I say, 90, maybe 89. There's the Topps 89-90. There's the 90-91 Lemieux from OPC. And then through all the years, through the 90s, there's all the base cards of all the packs I ripped. And I would put them in the slot. And I would keep track of them all. And those are the memories that I enjoy the most. Because it was simpler times back then.
Mm-hmm.
You could take $50 and get 2 or 3 boxes of cards. And, I went back there. What was it? Maybe 2.5, 3 years ago. And was praying to see the same thing again. Much to my heartbreak, it was not there. There was a couple tables, not a lot of cards, but it was just everywhere. And then when I moved here, they had a swap meet type flea market place. I remember going in one of the rooms and they just had cards wall to wall. And I was looking around and I'm like, not quite yet, but I miss you and I enjoy you. One day I shall return. And then 2 years later, I return. And now they don't have that flea market anymore. But
Of course, because that's what happens when you put things off. See, I'm starting to think that maybe you don't realize that history continues to repeat itself for you. walk through a Target, to go get a Funko Pop, come back, soccer mosaic gone. I mean, are you recognizing a trend here yet, Vinny?
Thank you, Steve. I greatly appreciate it. Pointing that out.
Hey, somebody's got to be Captain Obvious here. Come on.
My wife does it every day, Steve. Every day.
Well, because she loves you. It's because she loves you.
I'm sure she does.
Maybe I don't share the same sentiment, but
what's there not to love about me?
Oh, I could think of a few things.
Oh, there's several.
Much love, Vinny. You know that. We love you. See, I can kind of relate to Vinny. It's one of those of which growing up, there was no family vacations. I mean, for the longest time, we went to San Antonio every year for Christmas because that's where my aunt and uncle and my cousins lived. And they, of course, had ample space for all of us. Mm-hmm. So it was one of those in which that went on for years. And it wasn't until I'm going to go on the personal front here, till I was in my pre-teens, when my biological father came back into my life, so to speak. And somehow, shape, form, or fashion, because at that age, all I talked about was cards. I mean, I loved collecting cards. It didn't matter. Didn't know how to take care of them very much back in those days, but, most of us didn't because that wasn't a thing. But somehow he, got into collecting cards, and, it was one of those in which it was his connection to me, even though I wasn't there. And we went down a few years later, and he actually took me to a card shop, and I couldn't even tell you what year it was. 94, 93, 94, somewhere in that time frame, I think. Maybe my years could be off. Not to mention my math is probably off too, but that doesn't matter. I digress. I'm not here to take a math test. I graduated, so that's all that matters, right?
That is.
But he took me to a card shop, and it was one of those in which I walked around. I had never been to the shop before because it was one of those in which I only went to card shops in my area where I grew up. And it was always either my mom or my grandmother who would take me. Mm-hmm. So it was the first time I'd actually gone with him. And he ended up buying me a couple boxes or whatnot. I know 92 Upper Deck was one of them, football. And I kept trying to push for that 93 SP. And he didn't buy it, of course. But, it is what it is. Because I think even then it was $70 or something, just because Bledsoe was having a decent year, and progressing with the Patriots and so on. Bettis was phenomenal. It was one of those in which it wasn't in the budget, so to speak. So I at least had an opportunity to go to the shop with him, and I got to open stuff. And so that was right before Christmas. And then at Christmas, we actually went and spent time with my father's side of the family for Christmas. So I actually got to have like 2 Christmases that year. And I ended up getting a couple more boxes for Christmas. But outside of that, there was, like I said, no family vacation. Vacations kind of came around when, I got married and, had kids. And even then they didn't start happening until, more recent years because we could never afford it. And it's always about spending family time in those situations. Cards always take a back seat. But on the flip side, not vacation wise, I used to travel a lot for work,
Mm-hmm.
and there were a few times I went out to Reno, met up with a fellow YouTuber. Granted, we didn't go to a card shop, but it was still one of those in which we got to hang around, exchange some quote unquote care packages in real time, and talk about cards, which was freaking cool. And then with the company I worked for previously, we ended up having an install in Denver, and it was the week of Thanksgiving, and we ended up actually going to a card shop because he was a big card collector, a big Pudge collector, huge Pudge collector. And we made sure we ended up making it to the card shop. I didn't find anything that I was interested in. I know he bought a couple things, but nothing piqued my interest. But outside of that, I mean, I've been to outside of my immediate area, card wise. I've only been to 2 other card shops outside of my immediate area. So
that was, I think, the only vacation we took as I was a kid, because I know with those people on my dad's side of the family, they were not long for this world, and he wanted to do whatever, sew up some loose ends, because he brought the video camera with, and there was a lot of time where we were just relegated to listening to these stories of these people we didn't know. So I mean, it's I look back and I wish I would have paid more attention, but at the same time, when you're 10 years old, it's like, I don't know these people from any 2 other than that are in the stadium of people, and they're talking about people I've never even heard of before in any discussions. So I get that point where it was dull, but at the same time, you look in retrospect, and now that's me completely the same, wanting to meet up all the family, and nobody responds because it's just our side of the family. It's that way. But that was the vacation, sort of, okay, we can go, we'll go through like the cypress forest of like Arkansas, even though that's probably a place where a lot of people have been buried. Memphis Zoo, but it's like 110 out, and I'm sick within like 15 minutes because it's that hot and that muggy.
was that an allegedly there, Dave, as far as the forest is concerned?
I don't think so. I'd like to say allegedly, but there was a long stretch of highway. One side was like shoddy houses, like every 50 to 75 feet. Other side was cypress, and then with the Uncle Tom's Cabin, where it's just like, oh, you go in there with some cinder blocks wrapped around your ankles, something's gonna take care of you. But we went to Busch Stadium. We got to see Phillies against Cardinals at the old Busch Stadium. One of my dad's sisters, I think 1 or 2 sons, I think one has recently died now within the last 2-3 years. They collected cards, so they gave us a bunch of stuff from like the late 70s, and same with one in Evansville, Indiana. I don't know if it was a cousin or, again, his mom and dad had a plethora of children. I mean, the picture looks, it's like this, and it's filled with kids, and like, must have been a lot of time to have leisure back then, because there's about 10 or 11, 12 maybe, and I think at least half of them are gone now. The other half, I know I won't speak to one. There's a couple, I think, in Iowa still. I think one is out on the East Coast too. So it's like, you want to try to put those pieces together, but to have all these people, you go here, you go there, and at least some of those, their kids, because he was so much older than my mom, and then for me, he'd be, I think, would it be 82 this year if he was alive? And I just turned 41. So I mean, there you can tell there's a little bit of age difference there because my brother and sisters from his first marriage are 10 to 15 years older, which is a more realistic age bracket. But to have those kids of his relatives, they had all this like 76, 77, 78 baseball. And so they gave us some, but I mean, it was just, we didn't go to the arcades. We had fireworks and firecrackers, which we loved. My mom hated it because we were getting M80s and nearly blowing our hands off because that fuse goes so damn fast. And that led to other fire things later on. Not arson. We didn't do any arsoning. We're not just cops had to talk to us.
Allegedly.
No, they had to talk to us. They're not allegedly the arson, but I mean, when you're starting the big piles of leaves on fire in the fall, and then you're trying to jump over them, that the police in Superior didn't look too kindly upon us for that. But yeah, we didn't have. It wasn't like going to. I'm trying to think of that water park in Ohio. Point, is it Point?
Cedar Point.
Cedar Point. It wasn't like we're going there. It wasn't like we're going down to in Duluth. There's like an Edge water park where it's a hotel with the big water slides inside, lazy river, stuff like that. We weren't doing any of that. When our vacations usually where we're going out to Burnside Lake, like 5 miles out of Ely to the people we know, and just go on tubes out there and go on a pontoon. So yeah, the vacation, more so to that point. Card wise, it wasn't involved because we weren't. There's nothing up here besides stores. Go to your Ben Franklin, your Pomida. We didn't have shops. First shop I went to was one in, I think, Duluth in the mall. That Collector's Connection. Then, or no, we went to Superior first. That was the first taste of shops I had. Like, they have card shops? Like, really? Yeah, we've had this for what? A few years? Cards? Just really? So
yeah, we had a plethora for years. A plethora.
yeah, we had the two, and that was it. And then there's two in Duluth. One didn't last long down on Superior Street, but the one in the mall eventually jumped out of the mall because the rent was too high. But other than that, and then Virginia, we had the one up there where I did most of my damage as a mid to later teen after we moved back up to Ely. But yeah, it was Superior didn't have. They had the two. One was an older with magazines, the records, and the front of it was like the smoke shop, candies, current magazines. The back was like comics and back issues stuff. And I think there might have been a secret door, or a secret passage to magazines that weren't for youth eyes. I don't ever remember that, but it seemed like there could have been that situation there. So, but yeah, that one was that, and then the other one in the mall was that thing when that mall was booming. You would go in there, you could go KB Toys, load up on cards there. Prangieway had some, and then you'd go over to Sports Zone, and I'd say, you guys do whatever you're going to do, just come back. I'm going to be right here. And I mean, even without money, you could trade back then because, like Steve said, condition was partial. If something was ragged and ratty, you weren't going to get anything for it. If it was in pretty good condition, if it was like a 7 or an 8 grade-wise now, they'd make trades with you. I mean, if there's a little white on the corner, some of that Pinnacle stuff of the early on, the black borders didn't lend themselves to condition being priority. So it just depended on what you had for like a summer job. And during that summer vacation, we had a paper route for Manny Shopper, and I think it was like 40, 46, 52 bucks a month. So, I mean, not much, but then you try to pull together a couple lawn mowing gigs or something. And hey, there's some old lady neighbor trying to dig up a flower bed or something, dig a tree. Let's go help her. If she pays, she pays. If not, maybe down the road, she'll say, hey, shovel for me or do that. But so, I mean, yeah, we didn't have the big vacation, the lengthy, hey, let's go to the West Coast and like Grand Canyon and Yellowstone. And the only other time I remember doing something with my dad was we went, and again, I was visiting my brother. He was on the USS Enterprise. It was coming up from San Francisco to Seattle. So we went from Virginia out to Seattle, stayed with my aunt and uncle there, went with him down to Seattle, back up on like the Columbia River Gorge on a train when we were done in San Francisco for like a couple days, because I think it was called the Tiger Cruise, where you had like the family members were allowed to like just see what the everyday inner workings of the naval ship were, and go back to Ely. So I mean, it wasn't like, this wasn't stuff where it's like, let's just have leisure. We had certain things we had to do. I mean, it's fun. Don't get me wrong. I love those memories and wouldn't change them for anything. But yeah, it wasn't like, hey, we got 3 weeks. What do you want to do? There were never any of that. But I guess I'm glad to a degree where it was more regimented and we had to do this and had to do that. And instead just sort of like leisure time and, oh, we're going to be over here. Well, what do you guys want to do? I don't know. Split up. No, let's have something we have to do.
Yeah, and I posed the question to anybody who wanted to share. It's one of those in which, talking about vacations, card related, not card related, at least from the three of us, in our perspective, that necessarily wasn't a thing, I guess, when we were growing up for whatever reason. And like you alluded to, though, Dave, it's not like I would change any of those by any stretch of the imagination. For the most part, I enjoy my family in small doses. But it's not everybody has those options or the ability, so to speak, to go on family vacations. Stuff even years ago still wasn't cheap. And, I still remember my quote unquote first vacation. I actually went with a friend of mine. We were best friends pretty much all the way through high school. And, it was one of those in which he asked his parents if I could go with them, and they said yes. So it was my first experience down in Padre. We had just graduated high school, but it's one of those in which how much can you actually do at 18 years old when you're with your best friend's parents and younger sister? But it was still enjoyable, to say the least. His parents pretty much left us alone, so we hung out quite a bit on the beach. My first experience with fosters. My mom gave permission for me to drink while I was there. And we picked Foster's of all things. And I actually brought back water and sand from Padre. And I kept it for the longest time until I finally was like, okay, why do I still have this? And I threw it away. But, and of course, then my wife and I and kiddo with the neighbors 2 years ago went down to Padre. So it was one of those in which Padre, at least to this point, is still one of my favorite places to go. I hate the drive. It's over 10 hours. It's kicking the tail. But there's just something about it down there. It's just enjoyable.
Did you ever notice how 1992 Donruss baseball boxes kind of remind you of a can of Foster's?
Yeah.
I can't say I can put those two together, but now that you mention it, I can.
Got a lot of time on your hands when you're single and you think about things until you get hitched. And one day I was thinking, I'm like, this box kind of looks like a can of Foster's. And it just popped in my head when you said that.
Must be referring to Series 1, because if I'm not mistaken, I think Series 2 was like the maroon colored box.
Yeah.
Series 1 was blue.
Correct.
Yeah, I opened a lot of that because the local, what was it? I'm trying to think of what the name of the damn store was. It was like a 5 and dime store that my friend and I would walk up to from time to time. And of course, the big chase was the Diamond Kings.
Mm-hmm.
And I still remember pulling the David Justice out of Series 2, which was the big one in Series 2 at the time. I still remember it. And I still have it. One of the few cards that I have from back in the 90s that's actually in decent condition, because, I took care of stuff. I didn't take care of stuff. You're kind of right there in between. But yeah, Vinny, I'm pretty sure I know what your favorite vacation spot is, but I'll let you go and throw it out there.
Now that I live in Michigan, 2 places. I like going back to Pennsylvania. Something about the mountains, country roads take me home. Turn a little John Denver on and get back to the slower, yes, better half, the slower pace of life, where my speed is actually fast there.
Mm-hmm.
But the other place is Biloxi, Mississippi. My aunt and uncle, we used to send the girls down there, my oldest 2, Shelby and Haley. We sent them down there for 2 years. And then my wife's like, why don't we go? And I'm like, I've never been on a vacation. I must work. And then that's when she told me, we're going on vacation. So went down there, took my laptop with me. It worked some. But there's nothing quite watching the sunrise over the water, the sunset over the water, the beach, just it's, I don't know, it's a tranquil place for me. It makes me feel like I don't have a care in the world. I'm just and there's stuff to do. There's, took C to the aquarium. She got to see dolphins and pet a stingray, and then we went to the NASA rocket test center. That was fun. There's casinos for us older folks, the buffets for the food, which I indulge in, and it's just and I haven't been back there since I got really back in the hobby. I was researching the last time I was there. I was doing a lot of research because, like I said, I did a whole lot of research before I got back into the hobby.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I look, there's like 3 or 4 card stores there that I could have went to, and I'm like, dang it, missed opportunities. Once again, Steve, missed opportunity. But I love going there. And then when I travel, like Steve said, for work, if there's places about that I could go to. But getting back to what Dave said, I lived in small town, rural America, but in its heyday, there were 11 card shops within 30 miles of me. 11. And those were just dedicated card shops. There were places, like you said, they had the smoke shop, and then they had a ton of cards.
Mm-hmm.
And going to all those, and there was a card show at the Holiday Inn once a month. There was one at one mall 1 week. There was one at the other mall another week, and then if you traveled 45 minutes, there was one there. So you had 4 or 5 card shows every month, every weekend. It was the heyday. I mean, there was never something in that time frame from like 89 to 96 ish. The cards weren't around.
Mhm.
Now, once I left for school and everything, I'd pick them up here and there. But then by 2003, I was completely out of it. And then I moved here in 2010 and started a family. So all that stuff kind of got pushed aside. But the memories of going to all that stuff when I was a kid, the flea markets, the garage sales, to find cards, comic books,
Mhm.
was really into comic books too. Anything. And anything like nostalgic. Something that I knew that when I was young I enjoyed, I wanted to keep. I always wanted to have that tangible good that I could show my kids to say, when I was a kid, we had this.
Mhm.
So
It's getting dark up there, Dave.
Oh, it's sunset. Probably another 15 minutes of that. Somewhere.
I just noticed gradually it started getting darker and darker. I was like, interesting, because I mean, so we're in the same time zone, and it's still partially light outside. I mean, definitely the sun is going down, so it's not too long before it's gone.
Yeah.
But I mean, it like completely changed in a matter of 15 or so minutes from where you're at.
The power of Lake Superior.
it's dark here.
Yeah, really, it is. Oh, I
Well,
wonder why. Maybe that's because it's 9 o'clock.
yeah. The
And
summer is fleeting.
the other thing for, and again, being a month old now, the National, that was always something I'd looked forward to, especially getting on the message boards. And like, again, the buy sell trade was 98, 99 on Beckett, but the message boards were like late 2000, early 2001. And then you start meeting people on there and talk about the National here or there. They I think they got to experience um, the ones out in Anaheim, like one of the last ones out there. In 2007 in Cleveland, they were all there. And I mean, just the stories they had from there. A lot of debauchery, chicanery, nonsense. But I was like, I gotta go. I gotta go in 2008. And that, when things align, that's something I like to try to do too, because I don't take time off in the winter. I don't care about winter stuff. I don't go snowmobiling. I don't go snowshoeing, dog sledding, ice fishing, skiing, anything. So I hate hearing at work. It's like, well, you can't take time off in the summer. It's like, well, I don't do anything in the winter. So when the hell am I going to use my vacation? I want to do something with it. Like, and if you're going on cruises and you're going to Vegas and you're doing this and that, you don't seem to care about the store and how it runs. Why should it matter when I take my time off? And your name is on the side of the building, so you should care. So that's why I think next year, as much as I don't want to, I mean, it's literally the thing I've said I'd never do. I don't want to go to New Jersey for anything, except if it's on fire. I mean, I'd love to just like pull up a chair and drink something and be like, good, 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 good. And but just the fun that was had this year, and knowing from our past on YouTube, a lot of the folks that would be there on that East Coast, we get a chance to see Manny, Adam, Foxy probably drive over. I don't know if JBB would be there. Denny, Steve, Purple GT, Hudson Fan. I'd like to meet all these guys, just to meet them, because again, it'd just be like it'd be like my collecting. I wouldn't run out of people to meet. Like I won't run out of people to collect or things to collect, because it won't happen. There's so many people from the different things I've been on where, yes, it's they're in Atlantic City. They're very prevalent there. I don't want to have a hypodermic needle on the boardwalk. I don't think that's what the song was about back in the 60s. Under the boardwalk. Getting STDs under the boardwalk. No herpes, please, under the boardwalk.
It could be. You just don't know.
That's the thing. You need to have like a hazmat suit out there. But just to immerse yourself in that for even 3-4 days, even if you didn't do the full week or whatever, just to have that. I mean, that's something, as we've said, everybody should do. Just to take in the epicness, the size, because you're used to going to this show or that show, or let's say you went to the Dallas show only, or maybe one at the Cow Palace, something like San Fran. They had a big one out there or something, and you go to this, and it's just like you don't even realize how big it is, how the size, and that can be a vacation too. Again, family wise or just for yourself, depending on your situation. But that's something it just sits there and it festers, because you're like, man, I should have went this year. I'm glad it didn't, because way too many people. The circus, the Barnum and Bailey garbage, those Pelican cases, I would have probably tried to Bruce Lee some of them and just get out of here. I mean, if somebody like me is wearing some sort of like Sherpa grade Columbia backpack, I mean, you've got a backpack in the front and in the back, and then you've got some side satchel Michael Kors like European man purse draped over your moobs. You're causing so much discontent for everyone involved. They see that and they want to punch you in your 8th grade home ec outfit. It just go away. I don't know if I could take that. And then next year you hear in those same videos of people like, oh, we're going to represent New Jersey. Man, you already represent New Jersey to the fullest. You guys are the best of the best. Believe me. So, not being there this year, being there maybe next year. I really want to go. I don't know. It's a good vacation to break up the summer too. Tristan telling me to start the car or the battery will be dead. It's starting. It's on right
now. Well, Dave, before you get in trouble, like I would have if I would have lasted any longer, any closing remarks before you head out for the evening and Vinny and I drive this train into the
proverbial ground?
Yes.
No, just know that even though I'm on vacation, there's a lot of thought going into the show. Even though we're not bludgeoning it to death on every social media platform with floating heads constantly, just wanting positivity. There's both sides of the fence. If you ignore the one, you're doing a disservice to your audience and to yourself. So keep these guys going for another 56 minutes at least. We need to get 2 hours out of this. But,
we'll make it happen.
And be ready for next week. It won't be a spoiler. We're going to do an NFL preview because NFL's coming up. And we like the footballs. So probably get Brad back on here, see if he's available. And it won't be a spoiler, but it'll be a good show. Something fun. So I bid
Can't leave without a belch.
Here you go, Dave.
KB.
Yep, my dad saved these, and he gave them to me when I was in Pennsylvania. So he found them in some box somewhere. 89 cents at KB Toys, Star Trek, the 25th anniversary.
So that'd be what, 92?
1991.
To say I don't watch any of that stuff, but I know approximately the year. They give me some sort of anniversary.
And everybody needs their Craftsman collector cards.
How many of those do you have, Vinny?
The pack is open.
Oh, is that the only one?
Yeah, it's the only pack.
Damn it.
And it looks like somebody opened it. Probably my middle brother. Getting curious.
All right, let's see what's in it. You at least got to share with us before Dave leaves.
The Bandstock Event Warren saw blade.
The Craftsman Power Plus. Everybody needs their air compressor 1 of 1. The tool chest.
Good at tools without a tool chest.
Hey, everybody needs their stud finder. Beep, beep. Your impact. That was horrible, but okay. That was for you, better half. Impact driver set. And the checklist. And all of a sudden, I'm by myself. Dear God. What do I do now? So.
That was it? Only 5 cards? 6 cards?
Yeah, 5 cards in a checklist.
That was lame. I think some cards were missing.
Yeah.
I think the case hit was taken.
Yeah.
6 collector cards. Yep. Free for Craftsman Club members only. Sears Roebuck and Company, 1992. Printed in the USA. A chance to win in every pack of Craftsman collector's cards. Win a Jeep Wrangler for a Craftsman Tool shopping spree.
It'd be a nice little prize.
Yeah. A Jeep full of tools.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you. Casanova that you are. I remember.
His wife may disagree, but we know Bob. We know Bob agrees with you, Vinny.
And you too, remember, get your lists done. Start fucking working on them.
Yeah, I gotta get mine done.
My checklist is pretty much already done. It's been done, minus a few updates, by the way, if you check your damn email.
4 years necessitates more than updates, my friend. Actually, if it's 2015, that's 6 years of updates.
I'm pretty sure there's 2017 on the list. I'm pretty sure 2018's in the list. And I think even maybe some 2020 may be on it. So both of you can kiss my you-know-what.
I stand corrected.
So if you take the time, go open your email, do a search for checklist. It's there.
Well, I have like 4 emails, so I'm sure it is there.
Just throwing it out there. Anyways, I digress. Assholes. Anyways.
That's us.
Yeah, you in the car. Yeah, I'm talking to you. All right, Dave. Go enjoy the rest of your vacation, my friend. Don't piss off piss off the woman. We don't want that to happen.
It said it'd be about an hour, and it was about an hour. A little over, but that's good.
Well, sometimes you just don't know. So enjoy the rest of your time, Dave. Thanks for popping on, joining us for the first part of the show. Now that we have Bob here, maybe we can keep this going for another 50 minutes or so. He's got the link. He could always pop in here. Then again,
Yeah, Bob.
obviously.
Just say share.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All you have to do,
share.
Bob, 50 minutes. 50 minutes. That's it. Think of it as a cardboard podcast episode.
There you go.
Remember, catchphrase at the end, or not catchphrase, our mantra.
Yeah, I'll try. I may not get all the other stuff, but I'll at least do my best to close with the mantra. If not, I may put Vinny on the spot and I'll make him say it.
You don't even have to get the mantra word for word. I've flubbed it up many a time, and the general gist.
General gist I can do.
in the Discord and the OnlyFans and Doge.
We'll see it. Yeah, we'll see about that one.
You need to get the crypto wallet so Carlos chimes in. So, take care. Have fun.
Adios, Dave.
See you later.
So, Vinny, how's it going? No, I'm kidding.
Hey, let's occupy this for another 50 minutes.
Do. 5 minutes of Bob, 45 minutes of chair. I think that would probably improve our ratings, to be honest. And I'd just like to go on record and state, and I'm going to highlight this briefly. I am not getting aggressive. I do have a fresh beer. Thank you very much. But I do like this one. So, sweet. Bob is coming. Good deal.
Cool. And let's see here.
We may be able to push the conversation a little bit more from the topic perspective, though, too, get his take on some of the vacation aspect. Because I know Bob does a lot of traveling for work, too. Although, so it may not be vacation.
I could kick it myself because he was in Jackson, Michigan, which was probably about an hour south of me before the whole pandemic thing. And if I'd have known that was all those episodes he did from the hotel, I could have drove down there with the wife and we could have drove back up here and went to a bunch of card stuff, and then he could have drove back. That was a missed opportunity, but I didn't know Mr. Lewis that well.
Yeah, you can't kick yourself in the butt for that, though, either, from that perspective. You would have thought, so I'm trying to think, I traveled probably a good 3 to 4 years for work. And I had just started YouTube kind of when my travels kind of started dropping extensively. So it was one of those in which it was, the one opportunity I had to meet up with a YouTuber in Reno, which was probably one of my last quote unquote business trips. I went to Arizona all the time. I didn't know anybody from Arizona. So it was one of those in which I never had the opportunity to meet up with anybody. So what's going on, Yannick? So, Bobby, Yannick, I'll go ahead and pose the question for you, since the episode kind of is related to favorite vacation spots, family vacation as a kid type situation, card related, not card related, if you care to share. That's been pretty much the topic of the evening. We did have Dave early on. So, Bobby, I know you saw Yannick. Not sure when you were able to pop on, but Dave joined us for the first hour or so from Lake Superior. Well, near the shore of Lake Superior. He was actually sitting in the car using Wi-Fi near the bathhouse, as they call it up there. So he's enjoying the rest of his vacation, but he did make the promise of joining us for the first hour and kind of touching on the topic, but give a few of you guys an opportunity to kind of chime in on the subject. If you have anything you'd like to add, we are waiting for Bob to show up, so he says. Now, Vinny, I'm just going to go ahead and throw this out there. Did you notice Dave leaves and the freaking view count goes up?
The better half was here for about 30 seconds because she's like, here, show this. So I'll take this opportunity for some filler time. And since to prove my wife has no patience whatsoever, this was supposed to be a gift. So adding to my now Sports Illustrated collection of Lemieux that she got me, the gold sign with him in Team Canada, which this one, because she can't wait, she just goes here, and it even has gold 02 on it. So this is when he was captain of Team Canada. So that's just, it's got the Beckett authenticity thing. So that goes well with the
other one
that's up there next to the Ovi. That's
Hey,
her
Bob.
Ovi.
Hey, Bob, let me know when you're ready. Okay.
What's going on, guys?
What is going on, Mr. Lewis?
Took me a minute. I can't find my earbuds, so hopefully I'm not too echoey.
No, you're good.
Okay.
No, you sound actually pretty clean.
Very good then. Good to be here. So, favorite vacation spots?
So, and you can take it a multitude of ways, Bob. You know, we kind of touched on the fact that really, from our perspective, we didn't really do a whole lot of family vacations. So we kind of took it, a multitude of different ways. Whether it be vacations as a kid, did it involve cards? Did it not involve cards? Or even as an adult, for that matter, you know, when you go out of town for work, or you do go on vacation with the family, do you seek out, you know, shops or anything along those lines?
I have sought out shops while on work trips for sure. We, as a kid, would always go to Myrtle Beach. It's like a Western PA hot spot for some reason. Like I've gone there and like seen people from home down there. You know what I mean? It's just this weird thing. But there's a few shops at Myrtle Beach that once my dad and I were into cards, would always make a point to hit at least one or two while down there, you know? And that, even going back to in the Beckett, it would have the list of like shows, you know what I mean? And we would always see, maybe we'll get lucky and be down there on a day that there's like a big show. Didn't happen very often. But yeah, Vinny was talking about my work trips when I would do all the cards from the I would literally bring like a 4,000 count box of like a rummage multiple sport and just kind of go through the collection. And I did that a lot early on my first year when I was still just kind of working my way through and showing everybody what I had. Like those were fun videos to do. And actually you can kind of redo those after so long because you get new viewers, and it's going to be new to some folks, and your collection updates. You know, you don't always show every pickup that you get in a mail day video. So I've kind of been letting them build up and then do one like 25-minute mail day video. But the hobby travels with me when I can. I looked in Jacksonville when I was just down there, but I was so stinking busy. I didn't really get even if I would have found one, I don't know if I would have got to it. But I always look for retail when I'm away other places too, because I was in Charleston, West Virginia, and that's where I found all that Prism basketball from 2 years ago. So every once in a while you find a hotbed of retail. Nobody buys it, you know.
That was me on my last trip to Minnesota in November. I think it was 2018. I went to the Target with my boss and was grabbing stuff for the hotel for the 2 weeks I was there. And I said, let me just peruse.
Right.
And he's like, you're buying like 7 boxes of cards? I'm like, yes, I am. Because you have room in your suitcase? I said, I will have them shipped home.
Right, there you go.
Remember, I'm in logistics and distribution. I will find a way to get to the local post office and ship them home.
This is my thing.
I fit them suckers all in my carry-on, and I was good to go.
Nice. Yeah, I think that I usually hear that when people go to the National, like they end up buying more than they expected or whatever, and they got to worry about getting it all home or some, they're limited in what they can buy as far as oversized items because they don't have a way of getting it home. But
that's why I always wanted to go to Chicago, because that's 5 hours away. I could drive, and then Cleveland was 2.5. So again, it's a drive, and load up the back of the SUV with as many boxes as I can.
I've been checking online actually, Target.com, and right, if you want Gypsy Queen, Stadium Club, Allen and Ginter, it's on there for standard retail price. So that's where it's the only place I can find it right now.
I found hockey.
Extended
series. I found 2 blasters of that's sitting over there.
Do you want? My Target has some of that. I just feel like I've got all that I need really. Kind of some cool throwbacks in there, but every young gun I've pulled has been a defenseman with like
nothing wrong with defenseman.
With like no stats. So is there a chase car? Is there a chase young gun to your knowledge in that?
Not that I know of. The big one will be Series 1 with Cole Caulfield and Tyler DeGrasse. I think those are the 2 guys I'd be looking for. But in hobby, they have some really awesome inserts that I've seen that have been shown on Instagram that makes me want to grab a hobby box.
I found go ahead, man. Series 1's not out yet, though, right?
No, it won't be out till October-ish, I think. I'm still waiting for my Flair medal, so from last year.
I pulled out of that extended series. They kind of bring back like different versions of Upper Deck releases in the past, like Ovation and Artifacts and the hologlyphs.
Yeah, that's it. Holographics.
The holographics, yeah. I pulled the Crosby out of it, and like the second pack I opened, I don't know if I'm looking at it right or not, but there's like 3 variations, like a base one, like a rookie one, and then ones that are like NHL ones. And an NHL one, it appears that's what I have, and it said it's like 1 in 60 packs. So I might be reading it wrong, but it's a shiny card, and it's Crosby, so that kind of that made my day.
There was a Lemieux up the other day, but they wanted like $200 or $300 for it, and I'm like, beautiful, but so much.
Put it on the watch.
Exactly, it's gone, but I know it exists now.
Is that better, Vinny? Just wanted to ask.
Thank you. I'm in my safe zone.
I'm in control of the actual StreamYard this go around since Dave's on vacation,
Yeah.
So I've been in control of StreamYard, and I keep jacking with Vinny's mind and moving him around, and he keeps getting a little agitated.
You're doing
So
a fine job.
I'm missing on highlighting some of the
Agitated
comments. I'm trying to catch all the comments. Sometimes I'm getting a little slow, but hey, bear with me, guys. This is not something that I do frequently.
Steve,
what's up, Bob?
I had mentioned that I at the suggestion of Mr. Archer, picked up the annual. This is the 34th edition. This is like a $39 or $39.95 thing when it came out, right? Book when it came out. It was under $15 and it was still sealed. So I don't know if it's that guy that Dave's mentioned before, but it's been fun because he encouraged me to like make a list of the Randy Moss cards that I want, and it's hard to not, I don't really have a starting place to do that. I kind of just went from my head of which ones I knew existed, but so many releases and so many different products that, so then I can get at least an idea of one that might fit the bill. And then I'll go look online to see if I remember it. And then if I don't remember it, then I'll at least now I'm aware of it. Maybe something that was numbered to 100 or whatever. So I got a little list going. But I noticed Terrell Davis is in a lot of those sets too. So you probably have some of them. I know you showed your linchpins, but what was there? Oh, the Kramer's Choice things in football are not nearly like they are in baseball for some, and they're still like 1 in 721 packs. But the Moss I could get right now for under $20.
And pick it up all day long, Bob.
Yeah.
It's one of those in which, I personally, and Dave and I have talked about this in quite lengthy conversations. Baseball and hockey are getting closer to the realm of basketball as it pertains to some of the case hit insert type pricing. Football, unless you're Brett Favre or Emmitt Smith or Barry Sanders, usually you can get them for reasonable amounts of money.
Or Peyton Manning. Peyton's stuff is nuts right now too. Well,
especially if you're talking rookie year stuff, 99 is still fairly expensive to a degree.
Yeah, for sure.
If you're staying away from like Essential Credentials and Essential Credentials Now and Future and some of those low numbered insert type things, you can still find some for decent prices.
Let me ask you this: as a TD collector and having probably a little bit of everything, like, do you prefer one over the other as far as like low numbered parallels like the Essential Credentials or Star Rubies or something over like case hit inserts or every 3 case insert hits?
Honestly, Bob, it really depends. There's some in which I prefer the lower numbered. Other times it's one of those in which I'll go after, the case hits or one every other case type situation, because it's more about the aesthetics than it is anything. Rarity is important to me, but not to the extent of how I like the card, so to speak.
Yeah.
So, 97 Kramer's Choice is one that, for whatever reason, I waited and waited and waited. And, I'm still thankful I got mine when I did, because I still feel at some point some of those inserts in the football realm are going to start consistently that uptick towards the baseball, hockey, and basketball realms at some point, because a lot of them, considering the overall spectrum of the sport itself,
right,
they're still fairly cheap. Unless you're talking PMGs, Essential Credentials, those you're still going to pay a pretty good amount of money for. But outside of that, they're still nowhere near the basketball or baseball hockey market.
Yeah. Well, which I should be thankful for. I mean, there's definitely some Shaqs that I would love to get. He's got a lot of those cool, he's got the cut aboves, he's got the linchpins, he's got the the Duncan go nuts, the big men on court, all those the jambalayas, but they're all even in raw form, $500+. So maybe when I sell a certain card, I'll be able to devote X amount of dollars to acquiring some of those. But who knows? Maybe I'll never sell it.
Yeah, Carlos,
Yeah.
I may be driving it into the dirt, but we'll see. But yeah, it's like Kramer's Choice, I think I won't say by far one of my most favorite inserts. It's always been in and out of the top 10. It may kind of drop out of the top 10 from time to time, depending on what I'm looking at, so to speak, if that makes any sense whatsoever. But
however you're gauging your top 10, if you're going by aesthetic, you're going by some other metric. What about? And I'm sorry, I probably interrupted you before you finished your point, but I've been noticing a lot of so late 90s, early 2000s. Seems like just about every football set has game use swatches, variations, and so do you get into those as well? Like there's a base swatch, and then there's parallels of those swatches up to and including probably low numbered patch cards or whatever. Do you go that route too? I know you try to get everything.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, but it's always been, the focal point has always been game used. I have very few player worn. Most of those are gifts, and I'm forever thankful for those, because it does add to the count and to the checklist.
Sure.
It's just something that I refrain from even looking at. I have purchased one and I've shown it before, and when I go back inside, I'll show it again for those who may or may not missed it. I've only purchased one player worn piece, and that's because it was Topps Definitive. It was the one and done product, I think, from 2015. And it was the better of the two options as it pertains to the one-on-ones that I saw.
Do you have any cool ones with stains on them or anything? I've seen those. I bet those go for a premium if you're able to find something like that.
Not on the TD front. I do have I think I have one specifically, because Bob, I'm pretty sure it was you when I sat down and I was going through the patch set, the 2010 Leaf Certified Mirror Gold patch set. One of those, and I'm pretty sure it's the Portis that has all dirt and grime and stuff on the patch. But that's not something that I look for. It just kind of happens that way.
Yeah. What about you, Vinny? Do you any blood stains on any of them hockey jerseys you got?
Unfortunately not, but I would love to have a Darren McCarty or a Joey Kosher, McSorley.
Yeah, right.
Rolf Samuelson, Dino Cicerelli, the old time
Ty Domi.
enforcer. Ty Domi, here's another one. Enforcer type guys that were known for the fights. I would love to have, the white swatch from the jersey with just red. And I know the better half has a McCarty jersey, game worn. It's upstairs.
Nice.
And there are traces of red things other than the Red Wing on that jersey. So
DNA.
there is, whether it's Darren stuff or it's his opponent's DNA. it's there. So she's had that for some time. Now that's pretty.
So that's the only player worn card that I've ever purchased.
I would say that that's a worthy lone player worn pickup.
Yeah.
The other one was an NFL logo shield, but it was like the rubber like shield, and it looked ugly. And I considered it. Yeah, I considered it, but it was one of those in which I got one of the two 101s that I knew of from that product, and I feel like I bought the better one. So I'm satisfied. I'm satisfied with that one.
Good. Yeah, there's not. Well, I just like. I don't know. I guess I would like to have like a Moss, like at least one cool patch, something chunky, something with maybe some like a part of the Viking logo or something. Just kind of like for Meadows, I just went after one of the coolest patches I had ever seen. You know what I mean? So you get one, it feels like you got to have at least one in the collection if you're player collecting, but yeah, not something that I seek out. Or autos for that matter. I like just cool inserts, and I've come over to the parallel side of things, within reason. Like my range would probably be like an ultra platinum medallion or something, like not creme de la creme, but still a quality parallel.
Yeah, but it's one of those in which you could still put, 97 up there as, quote unquote, a creme de la creme. The 97 platinum medallions by far are, in my opinion, some of the prettiest because of the foil.
Isn't it just the name on there?
It is, but it's one of those in which it just pops.
Huh.
There's just something about it that I would rather look at and have those from 97 than I would from some of the other years that are numbered.
Okay.
Now that's me personally.
Yeah,
it's just because it's the look. I can't think of any other product off the top of my head, and this is where Dave would come in handy, to where they reuse that type of foil on anything else. And I could be wrong, but that's for whatever reason.
Like a zebra, like it was a weird pattern. I remember it being like very unique, but I wanted more of it. I wanted more of it.
Yeah, because unfortunately for you, I mean, it's not like you can get a 97 Moss. You'd have to go with those that are numbered to 98, and then some of the later years are to 100.
I was trying to think though, if I could pick up like one significant Moss rookie parallel, what would I go after? The first thing that comes to mind is the Topps Chrome Refractor, his Refractor rookie. But they're expensive.
Even the one of the prettiest Moss rookies, Nolan had one when he was doing his, I think it was SGC review like a week ago. Those EX with the acetate, the little bit of shine, they're basic, but man, every time I see that card, I'm like, whether it's football, baseball, basketball, hockey, EX,
that actually almost did that one.
Yes, I love that card.
And this actually kind of looks like what you were just talking about, Steve. Now that I'm looking at it, it has that, like, I don't know how to describe it, but it undulates when you move it.
Interesting choice of nomenclature there, Bob.
Yeah. Undulation. But yeah, there's like Bowman Chrome, the International Refractor, or just the refractors.
Let's see if I can get that.
Ooh.
So this is Lustrous Materials, but that's the All-Star game. But the patch, of course, is from an early Pens jersey with the
Yeah.
yellowish gold, but both of the patches are a little bit dirty, which is kind of cool.
Nice.
So, and you got the acetate in the middle. It shines because it's black diamond, I believe.
Well,
No.
lustrous actually it was a
black.
UD black. Yep, upper deck
this is
black.
just black.
Yep.
You have to watch because after a while they put the black in like as an insert in ice. They put it in something else.
Hmm.
Can't remember if it was Ultimate. So the guy made me an offer for 50% of what he originally had, and I was like, a patch card, a Lemieux with some acetate and seeing through and shininess and wonderfulness. So
Yes.
yes. Where were you about 3 minutes ago, wife?
She was just solidifying what you said earlier.
Oh, okay.
Like I said, I'm slow on the trigger when it comes to the comments. I'm not used to having to do this. That's what Dave does. Remember, I'm a little slow.
She's probably still working. Gosh, God bless her soul.
Oh, she's working late tonight instead of you?
Yeah. So.
Yeah, well, sometimes it happens, I guess.
Yep. And there's the book that my dad found. So I stole this from my middle brother because it's baseball, and I made it a hockey book. But just to show here.
Well, hold on. Let's get you bigger here, Vinny.
Getting big.
Bear with me. Hold on. You got to know what buttons to push and stuff.
So there we go. So back then I used to make patterns, trying to keep things,
Dude, I can relate. I just bought some of those Z folios, and it's like fun to try to, make patterns if you can, or if you got parallels of a card, you sort of you have the base, then you got the first level parallel, and then one, but and it's just they all kind of look good together.
I just have a problem with the Z folio because I love backs of cards.
I get you, man. I do.
And that's my one thing where I like to go on the Weiss Amazon account and prime me some pages and some binders. Who bought this? I don't know. Alexa asked me. She asked me, do I need to re-up my order? And I said, by accident. It was a pure accident. I said, yes, Alexa, I need those. And sure enough, Alexa said, I need 3 binders and 3 boxes of pages. And boom, they were here. Oops, sorry.
You could at least said it was C. I mean, come on.
Oh, I won't. I can't blame anything on the innocent because C is as innocent can be when it comes to that.
Yeah, like I said, the devil horns holding up the halo. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Steve, make me big real quick if you can.
Make you big.
I was going to show these. These are like some of my favorite parallels. It just came out recently. Out of Mosaic, the Genesis.
Those are beautiful.
Some new, and there's like a swirl action in there that you can't quite pick up on camera, but yeah, I picked up both of those mosses recently, man. They just look good. So it's cool to. I don't need to collect all 30 parallels. If I find the one that I like, I can just go for that one, or doesn't even have to. These aren't even numbered. They don't have to be numbered. It's that's a purely aesthetic. I mean, it's my guy, but it's also an aesthetic thing.
Yeah, that's one that has eluded me. Not okay. I can't say eluded me. It's one of those in which I've yet to pull the trigger on for
TD's got one.
TD. But, they state them as short prints. We don't know what the stated print run is,
Yeah, right.
but it's one of those in which I've watched them a few times, and I'm having a hard time justifying sometimes what they're asking for them.
So I messaged Dave recently because I've been on a Moss kick lately, and there's out of EX 2001, the 98. There's 2 insert sets that Moss is in, the Star Date, and those seem to go for, anywhere between 75 to like 125 pretty regularly. Then there's like the Helmet Heroes. So I saw some of those for like over 100, and then some sold for like $10. So I'm like, how can that be? How can there be that much disparity between the two? How does that happen? He just said, he had a few choice responses, but so the fact that I see sales so low, I'll never. I mean, I might go 20 or 30 or something if I don't see one for a while, but they're buying nows on there for one guy wants 145, and I'm like, there's no way. If I just saw that one sell last month for under $20, so I can wait. There's some cards I'm just willing to wait on because I don't completely trust the market on how much it really is. That's what it's worth to me, about $20-$25.
Well, and that's where patience always pays off there too, Bob. It's one of those in which you have some people that try and see, they throw it up there, see what they can get.
Yeah.
And because it's, it is a rookie year insert, some people
Right.
may pay a premium, some people may not. It's all going to be dependent on a multitude of factors. I'd be interested in see, though, how the one that sold really low was listed as.
Maybe
'Cause
it
to
was,
me,
yeah. Or maybe there was damage on it. Maybe I didn't look thorough. But here's a good example. I know this is a modern card. This is out of this year's Score Football, but Moss has a card in there, and this is numbered 17 of 20. Let me take it out. And talk about bad listing. I mean, there's a little bit of shine on it. It just said Randy Moss /20. Like, that was the title of the listing. Do you know what I mean? So it didn't even have score on it. Didn't have a year, didn't have anything. So if you're searching for that, you had to get, I was deep in the search results before that one popped up. And I won that for the opening bid of $1 and $4 shipping. So that's a Moss card, granted, 2021, not playing days card, but numbered to 17 of 20 for $5. I mean, that was a nice little.
All day long.
Yep.
Good deals, baby. Good deals.
Good deals only.
Yeah, for something like that, I mean, yeah, you definitely take advantage and jump on something like that. That's for sure.
Yeah. No, it's like when you find something you weren't even looking for. You didn't even know you wanted it until you saw it.
So, Bob, out of curiosity, are you actually using the Beckett for your checklist, or are you using Beckett for your checklist?
I'm using the annual as like an idea generator, basically.
Okay.
So I'm going from year to year, from set to set, and looking at what's the most expensive insert set in that, and then there's a little blurb about like these are 1 in 360 or these are 1 in however many. I see if Moss has a card in that. Maybe I've heard of it and it just jogs my memory. Maybe I've never heard of it. And then I go look and I'm like, is that a card that appeals to me in any way? Other than it just being a scarce insert, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to just buy. I kind of want to get a list of all of those cards that fit those metrics and then from there I can kind of scale them as to like priority, you know?
Yeah, because you may find that people will list for those people who don't do their research, which a lot of sellers don't. I mean, some of them do, some of them don't, because you can usually tell by the way that they list something.
Yeah.
But this is where patience pays off. As long as you're doing the research and you're educating yourself and you start realizing and understand some of the pack pull ratios, because those, of course, that with higher pack pull ratios, they're of course going to be of more value. And if somebody lists something incorrectly, you can find something for a steal.
I mean, and there's times when I've come across where there's a Moss that's 1 in 288. It's okay, but there's one that's 1 in 72 that looks way better, you know. So, and it's going to be cheaper as well. I'm not just exclusively shopping for the case hits or anything. I'll take a 1 per box if it's something that I don't have and I like it. Shoot, I'll buy that. Take that.
Which and most of us can relate to that because we've said it before. There's no worries, Vinny. We've said it before. Not all case hits are the prettiest. There's a lot of times in which you have, a 1 in 24, or a 1 in 36, or a 1 in 12 that looks 10 times better than a case hit does.
Absolutely.
And, it's if you're going for aesthetics, if you're going for rarity, if you're going for scarcity, whichever term you want to use, even though they are technically different, it really boils down to personal preference. And at the end of the day, as we always say, whatever makes you happy as far as what you go after is what is most important, regardless of what anybody else says. So
I'm kind of learning sometimes, like almost on the fly with some of the stuff, which is okay. I don't pretend to have all the knowledge like going into it, but so like this 99 Revolution, Pacific Revolution, I mean, I'm familiar with this base set, but this was listed as an opening day numbered to 68 and 54 of 68 here. But I couldn't tell what the difference was until I got it in hand, and there's actually like a stamp on here where it wouldn't be able to tell that from a picture, but it's like pressed into the card. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So that was a moment for me.
So
and then,
no, go ahead, Bob.
I just like so, and then I got some Shaqs from Dave, and then this Scoring Kings 93-94 was a real tough insert.
I love that set.
The year after is still a nice card, but it wasn't the same pack ratio on. So these are significantly less, but just as beautiful as a card. So from year to year, I like when companies do that. The Scoring Kings and Ultra have been something that crossed different sports too. So just because it's rare one year doesn't necessarily make it rare every year. So those are things I'm like learning or relearning it to some extent about my cards. So it's a fun process. Yeah, but willing to put in a little bit of the time and effort, and it'll pay off.
Well, and if you ended up getting the annual from the same guy that Dave and I and Vinny and a few others have used, he does have all the other sports though too. So it's one of those, with you being a basketball and a baseball guy though. Yeah.
I have the baseball one. It's just the catalog up there. It's not Beckett made. But I could benefit from having a hockey one and a base or a basketball one for sure.
Yeah, because I got my 3, and I think it was $22 shipped or something for all 3. And of course, they're not the newest ones, but it's one of those in which you're not focused on the newest stuff. You're leveraging it as a tool to judge pack pull ratio, rarity. Plus, it gives you specifics, for each insert set. It's not just
maybe this was only in like jumbo packs, or maybe this was only in cello pack, or hanger packs or whatever. Yeah, those are cool little. Might only be one per, or like 1 per 10 packs, but they were a certain kind of pack, or they were only in retail, or whatever the case may be. I was going to say something, but I forget.
Vinny, you look like you have something to say.
Several things. So first off, it's Yankee Doodle. So YANKEEDOODLE 12144 is the seller.
That's the seller.
Of said Beckett's. Right now they have a 2014 Beckett Annual 36th edition baseball, $750 free shipping. The hockey one I have is down to $10 free shipping. The 2021 Beckett Annual is $30 for hockey. The 17-18 Beckett Football Card Annual Price Guide 34th edition, $11.75.
Wow. Is that the Brady? Is that the Brady one?
Brady one. Then the 2016 Beckett Basketball Annual, number 24, with LeBron James on the cover, $10.24.
That's the one I bought.
So they have, even the new Beckett Almanac 2021 for baseball, 7th edition annual card price guide, $28.28. So you could roughly pay a little bit under sticker for newer ones, but if you can use, like what I do is I use that, and I use Cardboard Connection trading card database to fill in the blanks.
Yeah, I wish, I know like other sports don't have it. Baseball has it, but Baseball Cardpedia, like that's essentially the online version of the catalog. It has oftentimes the little blurbs of pack ratios and stuff. Yep. So I wish, I guess, well, what am I wishing that for? But like, because the hard copy is just as good. So I'm surprised I haven't had a visitor yet. When Ruby found out I was going upstairs, I thought she'd tag along eventually. But hey, I told the wife. Well, I asked the wife if I could jump on till about 10 o'clock. So I'm going to probably have to sign off here shortly, which is glad I could jump on for any amount of time.
No worries. So since there's more people, I'll go ahead and share the pickup.
Ooh. Listen to the two Pennsylvanians with the...
So that is 2000 Donruss Elite status, serial number 29 of 30.
Got the Moss status. The 2001 status is on my list. I've never seen that.
And that was free. That was included.
Right.
Random basketball card.
Yeah, I've cracked up before on like what random cards I get from sellers that just use it as packing, basically, racing cards and just random.
Yeah, it's one of those in which I just thought it was interesting. And it's a newer seller. So he hasn't sold a whole lot of stuff. And as I was alluding to earlier, this was actually listed wrong. It was listed as 99, which of course it's a more sought after year for status. but it was listed wrong. So it was listed as 99. I knew it was 2000. But at the same time, it's one of those, it didn't matter. I needed both anyways. I still need the 99 status and I needed the 2000. So regardless of it being listed wrong and what I paid for it, it was still worth it.
Nice.
So
I always remember that being such a cool idea when I was a kid, and well, I wasn't really a kid, but when they started numbering cards to the players' jerseys, that was when that concept was introduced to me. I just thought that was the coolest thing.
they do it a lot with memorabilia stuff in the later 90s too. A lot of stuff numbered to the jersey number, a lot of stuff. And I have quite a bit of stuff numbered to 30.
Who did like the stat line stuff, where like the card was numbered to whatever particular stat that they were highlighting?
Donruss.
Mm-hmm.
They did it in baseball and they did it in in football.
Uh-oh. I think I just got the text.
Uh-oh. Bob's in trouble.
I'm just gonna turn my camera off. She just said she needs a refund, so maybe I can have some more time. I'll go check in. I'll be back.
Oh, chair.
Well, here, you want the chair? I'll give you the chair.
If you're going to do it, Bob, you got to do it right. Everybody's used to chair.
There he is.
There's chair.
Or she, or I don't want to.
Sorry, you got to move back up though, Vinny.
Okay. But in the meantime, I could really derail us and can show some other stuff that will really new to the Insert Revolution podcast. There's some soccer. So there's a refractor to 150 of Allison Becker, who is a goalie, like my daughter C, who had the first day of school today, so she's out cold. So that's why we haven't been graced with her presence. So that's a little different. And then Luka Modric, who's on the Croatian national team. It's a little select, numbered to 299 with the country colors there. So I've been getting into this because of C. And then here's a cool looking one. Vitreous Obsidian.
I was getting ready to say, is that Obsidian?
Yeah, which I love. If they had hockey cards of Obsidian, I've said it before, I'll say it 100 times. These are just gorgeous. I grabbed a Big Ben because I don't have many Big Ben cards. And I grabbed Pete Alonso. So those were just, I like them. And the soccer stuff is, I mean, they do the same parallels. They have the purple, and then they have the pink, and they're all, some of them are numbered, some of them are just straight up parallels. You got green numbered to 99, but something different. That's why I wanted that mosaic to rip with C, because she's into soccer. I'm more into soccer because I told a couple of our friends, we were at the pro game that's associated with C's team. I said, if you'd have told me 20 years ago that I would be sitting in a soccer stadium watching a pro soccer team, I'd have said, you're daft. I said, you'd have been loony. And I want to tell you something. I enjoy it. I go there for the goalie, though, because C and the goalie are tight there. That's her number one. She's his number one fan. And when the whole team walks by, hey, C, what's up, C? C, hey, C. And it's just like this whole team knows my kid because she's just so into it. And how can, as a father, I not be just in the cockles somewhere deep down, just touched by these guys who take time out She's sitting on a golf cart with the goalie coach last week. Couldn't find her after practice. And she's just there shooting the breeze with him, talking about technique. It's soccer.
Like I told you, I played it for years, watched our indoor team quite a few times. Indoor is, to me, more enjoyable to watch. Less players. It's a lot more action. It's fast paced. And I can't watch it on TV. Professional soccer, I refuse. I can't. It's too slow for me. But it's one of those in which I've never gone to see a game. So if it's one of those, if I ever get an opportunity to actually go see a game, I'd go see a game just to see it live. Just to see it live. But it's never been at the top of the priority list.
I will watch when they travel. They're a semi-pro. They're a pro team, but they're NISA. And they play tomorrow night at 7:00, and that's when their practice is over. And you go right on their website and you hit a button and watch live. And I will watch those guys because I know them. I met some of their parents. So I'm the old man sitting there talking to their parents. Well, I'm glad you're here to see my son. And to me, it's like one big old family of people. And it's like this. It's where you go to feel like you're at home. And when you can go places like that in life, here every Tuesday night, Carlos on Friday nights. Yes, it feels like home. Even though I'm not answering all the time, I'm watching you on the big screen, Carlos, and Bobby for that matter. And places like that where you feel comfortable. You everybody knows who you are, basically. And you just shoot the breeze. It's a wonderful place to be.
And I'm guessing Bob is looking for something, but we lost Chair, and now we have Bob's ass.
Well, so Vinny, and I guess the Hockey Oracle. Remember this?
Yep. You got two of them.
Dude, I found that. I know that's kind of like a dick move to do, but I found they were just like the single packs in the little square boxes, you know.
The retail.
Yeah, there was 22 packs, and one day I just bought 5. And I feel like in every pack there was at least an insert or a Young Gun. You know, I was like, dang.
So the retail to hobby Young Gun ratio is the same. If you buy a box of hobby, you get 6 Young Guns. You buy a box of retail, you get 6 Young Guns. Because even Canadian Cards, Mike, when he couldn't, I don't think he said, oh, that's what it was. He said, for the price he would have paid for hobby, he could get more retail and still go chasing Young Guns. So why not?
Yeah.
You just don't get the other inserts that you get in hobby.
Yeah, the French parallel, all that stuff.
Yeah, the clear cut and exclusives.
The suit
possibly.
cards.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was in there, man. I'm like, I'm trying to I got a few ideas of what to do with it, but so now, you know, I don't have the Alexis from Series 1. What's your are they pretty even, would you consider, in the hobby's eyes still, or?
No, right now Cruel is him and Stutzla are the cream of that crop.
Okay, Stutzla, was he in what, Series 1 or 2?
1, I think. Plays for the Senators.
That name is.
Yep. And then you can get in that extended, there's flashback Young Guns that you can get of those same players, which would probably be considered a rookie year card. So you could have a Stutzla, Krill. I'm just gonna stop. Krill, Squirrel, and Alexis Lafreniere. You could get their rookie year young gun parallel type deal. So, but the better half got an email today. We were supposed tomorrow was delivery day for 2021 Flair Metal. It's been pushed back to the 9th. So she got me those for Christmas last year. So they're approaching 1 year, but that'll be an interesting rip when I do those. So because they have doubled in the price of the box since the pre-sale.
Are you a fan of the canvas cards?
Yeah, I like the canvas.
I like the canvas sucker for those, man.
Yeah, it's about when I can see them, Carlos.
I gotta go get my charger real quick.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, the canvas, Lemieux has a couple throwbacks in the canvas. And I kind of like touching the canvas cards, different texture. And I got one of them. I couldn't find it anywhere at a price I wanted to pay. So one day they had one encapsulated. I can't remember. I think it was Beckett. And I'm like, I want it for like $15. I'm like, any other time it's $100, and I just got it encapsulated for like 20. I think it was 22.50. So 80% cheaper and graded. Okay. I will take it.
Yeah, nothing wrong with those ever.
Nope.
We lose Bob again. So he goes, gets his charger, he plugs it in, disappears again. He's obviously on a mission of some sorts.
I'm over here. I can hear everything you're saying about me.
I didn't say anything bad.
No, you're just a wonderful human being, Bob.
No, I didn't go that far. Let's not go that far, Vinny. Come on. Let's not stroke his ego that much more.
Yeah, I need no help with that.
So what are you looking for, Bob?
Oh, nothing. Literally. I was just dipping into my stash. My beverage stash.
Oh, your beverage stash. What's on the menu for this evening?
It's a red. That's all I know.
It's a red. That's all you know.
Yeah, it comes in a box.
Wow, really?
Yeah. I can't pronounce it. So I don't want to embarrass myself.
Can you show it?
I could pronounce it like a Pittsburgher would.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that.
It's Cabernet Sauvignon.
Oh, so you're drinking some wine shit.
Yeah. It's just easier on my stomach sometimes.
So some Cabernet Sauvignon.
There we go. Let the Texan pronounce it. He's got us.
Yeah, it's pretty bad that I can actually say it.
You're like astute, man.
No, I'm not a suit. Far from it, man. Far from it. All right, Carlos, what did we miss? Did I miss something?
I think that was the Cabernet Sauvignon comment.
Oh.
I think that was his reaction thereof.
Oh.
Quite possible.
Yeah, well, I try. I have my moments, I think. So, Bob, how'd you score more time?
Filled up her glass.
Do what?
I filled up her glass.
There you go.
So I got at least until she finishes that, and then she'll be ready for bed. The little one is got a little cough right now, so it's like, third kid. It's you don't get too excited about it. You monitor the temperature and all that, but you hate, you can't just tell the baby like just clear your throat or like blow your nose, So she's all congested.
Those days.
So that was the reaction. So, Vinny, you were right.
Because he's Carlos. Walk away.
For reasons.
Wait a minute. Because he's Carlos.
For
You
reasons.
gotta lean in.
Oh, man. God, I love this crew. It's always enjoyable. Sorry for the squeaky damn chair.
I'm considering buying I like to put the Topps Chrome set together every year, and I can't find any retail, so I'm pricing a jumbo box because I feel like that'll get me close, and you get 5 autographs to boot. So I think they extended the autograph checklist to like 120 or something, but
how many cards are in the set?
200 usually.
Well, because it's one of those in which they seem to keep expanding over the years. Because, I mean, if you go back from the football perspective, I want to say like 96 or whatever, I think was like 60 cards or something. 97 was a little over 100. And then they slowly started like getting to where it was like 265 or something.
220.
220. I was going to throw that out there as a guess because that seems about right these days for
200,
baseball.
and then the update's been 100 cards lately. So that's kind of I should say just since 2018 when I'm back into the hobby full time.
Vinny, are you able to send that to Carlos?
Going to come on here and tell us of our buffoonery.
Tomfoolery.
It's nice when you can go in and just put in because in your phone and he pops up.
Well, we're actually going to be able to make this last longer than 2 hours.
It's good. I mean, I even grabbed this. I said, let's get crazy. Let's bust a box on the IRP.
What is it?
2017-18 O-Pee-Chee Platinum.
Platinum? What's platinum?
Platinum.
Got platinum out there.
Get some platinum.
Why not?
What's the chase?
I don't know. Something.
Those are shiny. Are they
They're
chrome?
real shiny. Yeah, they're like chrome. They would be comparable to Topps Chrome because O-Pee-Chee was a Topps brand for how many years? So you got.
So I can share something kind of cool. I don't think I told the chat. I had an interview today. It wasn't a job thing. It was a hobby thing. Somebody, another YouTuber mentioned my name as being just a collector of tops, and it was relating to the whole Fanatic situation. He was trying to get some perspectives from, the everyman collector types just to see where they're at with the whole thing. So that was kind of cool. I was all nervous, like they might not even use a single thing I said, but um, we'll see how that plays out. But he did. You wanted to. I told him the Clemente story and how cool that was to share that, and that being probably my best tops card. So he asked if I could send a picture of my dad and me with that card. So that'll be kind of cool.
That's cool. Sorry, Benny, I muted you because the packs were a little loud. So if you have anything to say or share specifically, you'll want to make sure you unmute.
Brock Besser, rookie.
I don't know who that is.
That's a good one.
Take your word for it.
Oh, look at you acting like you don't know who it is.
Feel the Thrill, retro.
I guess if Carlos is coming, I guess I need to go grab another beer.
What's on tap tonight?
Coors Light. Still haven't gone out hunting for Yingling just yet. That's
but
on
it's
the
out
list.
there.
It is. It is. Just haven't seen it yet.
Josh Hosang.
Steve, we have to have a video chat sometime after tomorrow, huh?
Yep, here in the next couple days, start getting some plans together, man. Because I'm ready. Collectors helping collectors.
Dyson Yost, rookie, retro.
The retros are considered rookies, or is it just like they have a regular and a retro?
Yep.
Carlos, you ready?
What are their refractors called? Is there a refractor in there?
Yeah. There's a.
They just call okay. What's up, Carlos?
What's going on, Bob? Cabernet Sauvignon.
Cabernet Sauvignon.
There's a refractor type version.
All right. That's good.
But it doesn't
They
say
put the
refractor.
name on the back. They put the name on the back. They're actually
Yep.
very good with that, especially for that O-Pee-Chee issue. If they use the different ones, pixels and that whole bunch of stuff, they'll put the name on the back. Usually those ones are just called basically. I think they were just called silvers or something like that. It was really basic.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
the Violet Pixels.
Exactly.
That's a Mitch Marner.
Exactly. And by the way, great appreciation to Upper Deck for thinking of, hey, put the name of the parallel on the back of the damn card.
How
There's
nice.
an idea. How wonderful. Make it easy for us because there's so many versions you don't know what the stupid thing's called unless you look it up. Or put it on the back of the card and then it's easy. You know exactly what it's called.
Yeah, I ran into that recently with that Hoops premium stock.
Mhm.
I was trying to look in the Beckett or even just look it up on, and it all just says Prism, like, but which one is it?
Yeah.
Which
exactly.
Prism is it? But
There
so
it
it's
is.
like by default you end up having to settle on it's one of these three.
Yeah. Well, it's gotten the only good part is if you get a numbered one for prisms, you can usually use the Beckett checklist and use the numbering. That's
Yeah.
helpful. But if you don't do that, yeah, exactly. Just a little bit higher. Yep, you got it.
Yep. Rainbow.
Yep,
Oh,
exactly.
nice.
Nice and simple. That's easy. That's how it should be. Like, just put the name of the parallel on the back of the card. You can see it right there. You're done. But the new, the way Panini did more of its recent one, like the basketball one, there's over 100 parallels. You're hopeless. You're doomed. Like, there's no chance. Like, you got no shot.
Gretzky.
All right, so
Nice.
platinum records. Okay.
Oh, here we go. There's these were the retired legends. Got Ed Belfour looking killer with that mask.
I also like that they went with the All-Star jersey.
Yeah, that's a good looking card.
For change of pace, it's solid. Nicely done.
And hey, wait a minute. There's etching.
Oh,
There
Did they
is
put a little
etching.
bit on there?
There's a little bit of etching on that bad boy.
So you know what that means? That means those back pages are going to be furious. Wait a minute, you can put etching on that?
On my
How
upper deck.
dare you? Is it
And
just
That's
around
part of
the
the reason
outside?
Flops lost the contract.
And there's a Landeskog. And again, red prism numbered to 199.
Exactly. Well, that's the thing. Like, it's kind of what I alluded to is that Topps rested on its laurels. It had the same idea that a lot of people had. Oh, we're synonymous with baseball. That doesn't mean they'll keep you around if you're not indispensable. Like, you have to bring something to the table other than that. Yeah, but we're Topps. We've always been here. That's not the way this works. They're not that sentimental over at the MLBPA.
Now
So
we'll see how it plays out, man.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I said, I played out a couple of the scenarios. My thought process is there is value to it, but they're not going to
Yeah.
overpay. They're going to be like, no, we'll make a deal that makes sense for us too. We can come to some arrangement. Why not? But they're in no hurry.
Yeah, I wonder. I don't know what percentage of collectors, really, what's the overall like pulse of the hobby. Like, I'm sure there's some people that are just, I'm ready to be done with Topps altogether. Like, bring on something new, something fresh. I'm sure there's a mix, and then there's people that have been guys Topps.
Well, it's also the other thing that we talked about. If you come out and you produce a product that's reasonable, it doesn't have to be 100 times better. It can be equivalent. If you produce a product of equivalent quality and you've got something of reasonable price and you've got the different price levels covered, what's the problem? You got MLB players, you got a decent looking product, you got a price that you can work with. You're going to not open the blasters? I see Bob Lewis and the dude opening blasters. I don't care if they put Fanatics on the front of it.
Blasters will be open.
So then what's the issue?
Right.
Well, and I said it last week. People griped and complained when Panini got the sole license.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, this is bad for the hobby. I'm done. Well, how many people actually were done? People are still buying the product. People jump up and down for Prism.
Yeah. And now Gold Prism is this, oh my God, did you see the Gold Prism? By the way, I like the Gold Prisms. I've made a little side collection with the pajama cards and Gold Prisms because I'm like, they're still out of 10. They're nice looking card. And if you're going to offer me at a discount because you guys really need logos, you're hung up on logos, listen, I'll go take those Juan Sotos for pennies on the dollar compared to what an equivalent card would be in football. Or in basketball, heaven forbid. That's kind of how I have to play it, though, as a collector. It's like, well, take advantage of those opportunities. Then if you're like a collector and you're looking at it from that perspective, it's like, that sounds to me like it's bargain hunting time. So it's a special. Like, let's go. You're getting the good price. Why not? Take it.
Well, and if you're a player collector, then it doesn't matter if the logos are present, to be honest.
Yeah.
If you're a team collector, then,
Understandable. Yeah.
there's a little bit less drive, I guess, to seek some of those cards because, if it doesn't say, Washington Nationals or it doesn't have the logos, then of course you may be turned off on it. But as a player perspective, you're still gonna go after cards that are aesthetically pleasing or that you want to add to your collection, regardless if it has logos or not.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it's because it's one of those things. It would in some ways make it easier because if I adopted that rule, it would be like, okay, so I don't need any Leaf cards. But they make some decent cards sometimes. So it's one of those things where it's like, actually, they make some. I'm not going to go crazy overpaying for it because I do understand this. You're not going to get logos. You're not going to get the team emblem anywhere on there. It's going to be carefully cropped out or, photoshopped. But is the card quality? Yes. Oh, the memorabilia on it? That's game used. Oh, so I'm getting game used. I'm getting the autograph or whatever the case may be. It's like I'm getting a quality piece. Like, I have a 1/1 from Leaf coming in, and the patches on it are solid, and it's going to go with the other ones that I've got, and it's going to look good. But they're unlicensed. It's all unlicensed.
but at the end of the day, does it really matter? To a lot of people, it doesn't.
Yeah. So that's a decision I think every collector can make. I think they'll be complaining. until then we're far enough down the road. We'll kick that can down the road, and we'll revisit this conversation. But it was that was basically why I made that audio version of that video. And I basically just said, no, it was good to get the feedback, though. It was like the initial reaction. It's like, I still want to hear your initial reaction. Even if in a year or two you change your tune, I at least understand what your first instinct was. Your first instinct, oh, this is terrible. It's going to be the worst. We'll see. I'll reserve judgment on that.
Well, and like I've always said, it's too early to really make a judgment call. You know, everybody to a certain, okay, everybody's the wrong term, but a lot of people, as I alluded to earlier, jumped to the conclusion of, you know, when Panini got the license for NBA and NFL, oh, it's going to be horrendous. It's going to be terrible. You know, it's a monopoly type thing. Let's boycott Panini, blah. And yet, you know, people are still buying up the product. And nobody knows what anything's going to look like. We haven't seen card designs. We don't know if there's potential for, you know, issuing out quote unquote sub licenses to these other card manufacturers. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's what they do early on, unless they bring in some hobby minds or hobby professionals that have been in the design front and stuff along those lines to really help come in and drive that part of that company.
Yeah.
We don't know. Nobody knows. We still have a few years before we even get any bit of information. Whether or not we do or not, though, too, is another topic of conversation. Who's to say that we know anything or we'll find out anything until they start throwing out the promotions and showing out, you know, here's the first product release or the release calendar or anything along those lines. It's too early to know, to say what it's going to look like, what it's going to do to the hobby. Is it going to have adverse effects? Is it going to have positive effects? Who knows? I mean, it just was announced. It's too early to even really make a judgment call, to be brutally honest.
Mm-hmm. And the other piece that I have a lot of fun with, especially now, the way we are, and I use the general we for the hobby stuff. But the thing is that one of the fun things is, and it came up, obviously, Vinny knows, it's like the rise of arena design retroactively, people looking at arena design and going, oh my God, arena design, all these design. And by the way, deservedly so, they came up with some great ideas. Who's to say the next arena design doesn't exist, isn't out there? Somebody at this point, if you bring in arena designs, there's a good possibility they're going to go through the greatest hits. It's cool they're involved again. That's great. But if you're going back to the greatest hits, what else you got? They may or may not have anything, by the way. I'm not taking away the possibility that they may have had it all this time. They may have come with some amazing new ideas. Or they may be like, maybe we used all the good ideas already. Now you're getting the cutting room floor stuff. The stuff that we actually threw away the first time. Oh, okay, grab this. But now you've had a whole generation of folks that may have been raised on those designs that then go, hey, I got an idea. Could we try this? And it's always a possibility that you could try. Because if I was running one of those things, I'd be like, you got to do the staples. You got to have your low-end product, something accessible, something available, something that'll be there. The blaster will be there no matter what. Why? Because you print it to oblivion. But you do it intentionally, just so like, look, you got something to break, here you go. Knock yourself out. You got to make it available. But then you got mid-tier stuff and high-end stuff. But then somewhere in there, if you put a good product lineup together, you could have room where a product, you know what? Throw some stuff at the wall and see what sticks. If it doesn't work, we'll scrap it. We don't have a legacy. The advantage of not having a legacy is you can't screw up a brand that wasn't a thing. So you have a blank canvas to start from scratch and try something weird and see what happens. You never know.
Yep. Opportunities to kind of open up the creative mind, so to speak. And I know we've talked about it before. You don't want to keep going back to the well, so to speak, one too many times, because if you keep rehashing the same things over and over again, I think it has a negative impact from a collecting mindset perspective. And this is just me. Yeah. You keep going, you know, and throwing out PMGs all the time. Mm-hmm. At what point does PMG really lose its luster and its iconic name, so to speak? And if you keep going to the well too many times and that becomes your staple for those products, then what's the point?
And the thing is, that's literally what happens every time the manufacturers come up with a winning idea. They eventually run it into the ground until it becomes so common it loses its specialness. Part of what made Arena Design's thing work is that a lot of those things had a limited shelf life. Eventually, it ended, and then that left people with wanting more. In this case, it was good because it's like actually it ended before you guys started. You guys were hitting home runs. It ended before you started hitting like weak singles and started striking out. You didn't have that. You didn't have to experience that. It was the same thing when the guys on the essential credentials, they talked about Pacific and they have all the thing with Mike Kramer and all that. It's like that's cool, but they obsess about the idea of, oh, what if Mike Kramer's here? If Mike Kramer's still here, some of his designs would be shit. That's my bet, because they ran through so many ideas in such a short period of time. They were already running out of gas designed creatively towards the tail end of Pacific. You guys, you put on the rose-colored glasses. It's like, guys, I was there during that whole period. Medano is literally the first cover guy in hockey for Pacific. That was the first year. So that's 97, 98, my favorite year. And by the way, that 97, 98 lineup, fantastic. They did a great job. And they still did a great job for years going forward. But when you're in year 25 of Kramer's choice, that's not that exciting. That's what would have happened. They would have kept dragging out the same idea over and over and over. So who wants the year 25 Vice Blues? Who wants year 25 of the same? Go ahead.
I see, like, you know, if you have been a fan of the insert design and now it's the year that your guy is finally going to be in the set, you know what I mean? But you know, if you're collecting Brett Hall or what, and he's been in like all of, you know, like there's a portion of people that I feel like would my guy finally gets a Kramer's choice and I can finally have my guy in that awesome design. I was never really the triangle card was cool, but it didn't stand out like that much more than, you know, I could just say there were plenty of other cards I would rather have. But yeah, I do agree that you do something so many times, it's gonna lose its luster.
Well, eventually you also get tempted, Bob, to your point. You eventually get tempted to make it easier. The Kramer's choices originally were actually pretty tough to pull. They were a little bit limited. But what happens when you're in year 10 of it, and it's like, so what do you want to do to change it up? Put 50 guys in it. Make it one per box. Oh. Make it a couple per box. Make the checklist 100. Is it so special now?
No.
Yeah.
Because eventually you have to start modifying it. You can't, and it happens with all of them, by the way. Go back to 1993 and look at what Topps Finest refractors were in 1993. And today you open Topps Chrome or Finest and you pull a refractor. What does it mean? A base refractor. What does a base refractor of your player mean right now? Nothing.
3 packs.
Whatever. Great.
A
Awesome.
base refractor.
Woo! Oh man! Oh, base refractor! Oh man! In 1993, you're like, oh my god! And if you pull the Cal Ripken around 95, you're like, oh my god! It's on the Beckett Hot List. It's on all that stuff going on. 95, 96, 97. It's like right at the top of its game, and it's madness. But in 2021,
Carlos,
it's not a big deal.
Did you see Topps' 2022 design that they released for Series 1?
I might have caught a picture.
I was wondering if, because I thought I heard that Wander Franco is not in update, and you'd have to wait until Series 1, and that seems like a missed opportunity.
I'm pulling up right now from Cardboard Connection.
Yeah, well, that could
pretty generic.
But that could be because of timing, though, too, depending on when update went to print.
Yep.
Yeah, it just seems like he's been up for like 2 months already. I don't know. Yeah,
but
I get it.
I mean, it could already been at the printer.
And when I brought up that for Bob earlier, in the Topps Chrome 2021 refractor, 1 per 3 pack, sepia refractor, 2 per blaster, pink refractor, 2 per blaster, prism refractor, 1 per 6, magenta refractor, number to 399. You've lost
a new.
Yeah, you've lost your pack pull odd ratios once you get to the magenta refractor, and you go into they're just numbered.
Yeah, because what happened was, and what messed the whole thing up is that you'd have retail exclusives that would differ based on the retail outlet. So,
Yep.
like, I remember during Vladdy's rookie year, I think 2018. I remember during his rookie year, you were still able to get blasters, so I opened a couple. It's on my channel, but you get a pack with sepia refractors. And at
Yeah,
the time,
blasters had the sepia, the
Yeah.
hanger pack had the pink, the mega boxes had the X fractors.
Yeah. So you'd get this pack that would have these things, and yes, but just imagine. Think about what I just said. I talked about 1993, where it was you get one per box. That's it. Base refractor, one per box. It could be Ken Griffey Jr. It could be Frank Thomas. It could be Cal Ripken Jr. Or it could be
Andy Van Slyke.
yeah. And
I take it.
but that's what it was, and you were like, that's what it is. And if you opened a pack, you were freaking out because you got the one per box hit because that was the only hit. The rest of the packs, you're getting base, my friend. Nothing but base. All
And
the
no
base.
rookies either.
Yes, no rookies.
Yeah, all the base are belong to you. All of it. But that's the thing is that but now you open the blaster, you got a sepia refractor pack in it.
Or pink packs, or,
Yeah, or
green
whatever.
packs, or
Yes.
whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whole pack of
It looks neat in a rainbow. In a rainbow, it looks neat. Like I'm not going to deny it. It looks cool. It's cool, but it's it's not. I can't blame them. Could you imagine them trying to sell you the box for $200 or $300 today? You know, hobby box, and what do you get in it? You get a refractor. The good news is the refractor value would be retained, especially for the better players. That's the good news. The bad news is you'd be freaking almost every box because you're never going to get any value back. You're going to get destroyed on every box, pretty much guaranteed, unless you happen to pull a decent player.
set building would become a thing again.
Well, here's the thing. It's a great theory, but no, I think not collecting would become a thing again. It's like make non-collecting great again. I got an idea. How about we do something else?
Well, that's the speculation on why, like, the print runs are increasing. So, okay, we'll take the existing parallels and then we'll make wave versions of them. And then we'll make non-numbered ones. And now we'll add, now we got a magenta and a teal. Like, we'll just keep adding to it until they have 100, like Panini.
Oh, going back to what Steve said earlier about people stop buying Panini, I just had to bring it up for, and channel my inner Carlos.
Live the dream, Vinny. Do it.
35,969 graded Zion Williamson base number 248 from 2019 Panini Prism. 19,000 roughly in a 10, 15,000 in a 9, 900 in a 8, 104 in a 7, 183 in a 6, 49 in a 5, 4 in a 4, and 3 in a 3.
There is Zion Williamson PSA 3s out there.
Yes. And then if you go to Silver Prism, one step lower for the rarity, 4,073 PSA graded overall.
Oh, short printed bargain.
1,328 in a 10, 2,373 in a 9, 279 in an 8, 66 in a 7, 23 in a 6, and 4 in a 5.
And that's still pending a multi-million card backlog.
Yep.
Which
Bingo.
I have two
which
there.
will increase those numbers. Which will increase those numbers. We're across the board. And honestly, I can't blame the manufacturer for that. Like, I can't. Like, it would be unfair of me. People sometimes forget. They forget their history. The overproduction era wasn't because the manufacturers were stupid. They were short-sighted, but they weren't stupid. They understood, like, look, every time we're making this stuff, you're selling it out. So we'll make more and make more money. They're a business. They would like to make more money. Ideally, they don't want to oversaturate the market to the point they wreck it. But you don't know what that number is. Especially as at that time you did have more people entering the market. More people buying boxes. More people opening packs. It was a mania. leading through the mid to late 80s into the early 90s. They had 100,000 people at the National 1991. These are facts. This is what occurred. So if you're these manufacturers, you're like, print. Because what happens is like, okay, let's restrain ourselves and print it, short print it. Cool. Okay, so we sold it out. Now what? So how do you want to make more money then? You got to sell something. You don't get the secondary market. So you produce more product. The only reason they produce more product is because more people are buying it. It's, the chicken, in fact, came in the right sequence with the egg. Like, it actually flowed correctly. But it wasn't them spontaneously manufacturing this demand. The demand existed. In the end, they overshot the mark, but the demand did exist there for a moment in time. That's why it worked as long as it did. It wasn't 1 year of overproduction. It was multi-years of overproduction. The junk wax era isn't one deer.
Somebody looking at the data of the increase as far as the people into the hobby or whatnot, and I think they overshot it.
Because you could only guess. Because imagine, there's no way to tell. All you can do is be like, okay, how many boxes did we sell? Okay, but you don't know how many people bought those boxes. Was it one guy buying 1,000 boxes and that's what skewed your numbers? Or because you were thinking, oh man, it must be millions of people buying these, when it's a couple of 100,000 people buying it, which is still a lot, but it's not millions. One guy just hoarding it in his storage locker thinking that's going to make him rich in 30 years. Well, that skews the number. Yeah, well, basically Dave. But the point is, so Dave caused the wreckage in the early 90s. Basically, he destroyed the hobby. Well, he tried to. And then eventually, now today, our only hope is that Amish Dave Archer can buy us out of this. That's basically what I'm hoping for. I'm hoping he just buys Panini, buys Topps, buys Fanatics, buys Chair, just owns the hobby.
It is possible, with the number of warehouses that he has. I mean, it's always possible.
Listen, don't let the man who started this live stream in a car fool you. He does not fool me. He does not fool me.
He doesn't fool any of us.
Absolutely. There'll be none of that nonsense. But that was it.
Well,
I don't blame I just don't blame the manufacturers for it. There was a reason why they weren't complete idiots. They got greedy, but they weren't idiots. They weren't sitting there like, let's kill the golden goose. They would rather have stretched it out more years if they could have figured out what that magic number was. They would have. And today, they're sitting there in the same spot. We keep selling out everything. We got people lining up at Walmart. So how much more do we? So the parallels is them trying to be like, okay, so don't make 1 million copies of the base card. So what do we do? 100 parallels? We'll number a bunch of them. They're trying specifically to avoid this specific issue, and this is all they've been able to come up with. They're like, what if we spread? We got to print more. Like, there's more money to be made, but how? How do we do it without killing the golden goose in one shot?
Yeah, it's like that double-edged sword. I mean,
yeah.
In all honesty, that's what it boils down to at the end of the day. It's a double-edged sword across the board. People want. Sorry, Benny, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Finish.
No, go.
I'm just looking at 93 Finest baseball.
Sure.
Almost every instance you see, here's the base card, with the exception of your Mark McGuire's, your Tony Gwynn's, your Bo Jackson's. So let's look at Robin Ventura. 25 base cards graded. Robin Ventura refractor, 142. Joe Carter, 128 refractors graded, 35 base. It's just, you see where all the... Now, Cal Ripken Jr., there's an anomaly. If I'm looking at this data, Cal Ripken Jr. base, 298. Cal Ripken Jr. refractor, 146.
Yeah, at that moment, because if memory serves me, the refractors, I think the unofficial stated print run, I think the refractors only ran to like 240 and change, somewhere in that ballpark. That was the actual number they said they printed.
Well, here's Frank Thomas refractor, 288 graded.
No, I understand. There's somebody that proved that Topps fudged the numbers. They
Yeah.
were supposed to have printed about 240, because there was a Yager in hockey that they explicitly said they printed a certain amount. A guy actually accumulated more than they said they printed.
That's
Basically
a thing.
prove that he's like, nope, I got more of those right here.
Wow. Ken Griffey Jr., 712 base,
Mhm.
217 refractors. I thought it would be Ryan has 446 base, 113 refractors. It's just interesting looking at the data.
Well, there were only like the base cards, like the chromium base cards, are not super tough to get in a decent grade for the most part. Centering is pretty much your big
Centering's
issue with
the
those
big-
ones. And occasionally scratches. Like you can definitely get scratches on the chromium. Like that's the thing. Surface can be a problem. But for the most part, if you've got a decent centered copy, and it wasn't like run across concrete or something, you're probably okay for the most part. They grade pretty well, but at the time, most of those names you're reading off of, those are the ones that were going crazy in the mid to late 90s when that surge happened in those, because that Ripken was on the hot list for a while in the baseball magazine. It was on the right at the top of that hot list.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And it made
He
total
was
sense.
when he was having his run. There wasn't a Ripken card that wasn't hot.
Yeah, absolutely. But I always remember that 93 finest refractor that was right at the tippy top consistently in the first 2 or 3 of them. It was Ripken refractor, Ripken refractor, Ripken refractor, over and over.
That is his elite autograph.
That right, yeah. So there were a handful of cards that fell in there that, because it was like, if you're gonna get a Ripken card, go after one of these, because these are the ones that are right at the top of the. And I don't remember what it was. I want to say it was like $2,500 for the longest time. It was in Beckett. Yeah, something like that, which is big money if you think mid to late 90s. $2,500. Oh my god, for a modern card.
Yep.
So it's always kind of interesting that, and that's why I say, like, it's fun to remember, but at the same time, 1993 was 28 years ago.
Carlos, have you ever heard a number, even if it was just guessed, and on any message board or whatever, of how many no-name Frank Thomases there are? It's under 50, right? I mean, it's got to be under.
I thought I heard, because again, when it comes to those ones, people are guessing because it was an early print. Like they fixed it pretty early. But I think I heard low hundreds,
Yeah.
like 100 and change maybe. But again, it's guess. It's a pure guess. Yeah, the top's one.
But
The
in
no-name.
ratio to how many were actually printed, man, that's a scarce card. You just don't see those ever.
It is, because all it was just missing black. Like it was just
Right.
missing the one color in the print run. That's all that happened, is that they just didn't make it just didn't get through. It's the same thing happened with T206s. There's T206s that have missing black. And they're just mistakes. They get out there, but not like a ton of them. It was still pretty tough to come by. But I think you would have had to catch it, because I think once they kind of picked up on it, they fixed it pretty fast. There wasn't a lot of them floating around there. So that was a legitimately tough card for a very long time. And if you were a Thomas collector, that was the card,
Oh yeah.
especially in those days.
93 Cal Ripken Finest Refractor,
Mhm.
PSA 9, 26.99.99. Buy it now.
Yep.
So
It's held Beckett value for all these years.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of I think it's still, I think the people that remember from that time are gonna have some. But at the end of the day, unless you're a huge Ripken fan, it'd be a cool feather in your cap to have. But most people who aren't Baltimore Orioles or Ripken fans, like, it's cool. I'd like to see it. I don't need to buy it. It's one of those things where it's like, it'd be cool to see.
I had shopped for I wanted to have at least one, and I mentioned Van Slyke earlier because that seems like one that's obtainable, that's affordable, that fits a PC category of mine, a couple of them.
Sure.
Still, it feels funny paying $50 for that card.
Well, I have the same problem when I look at the Blue Jays, because I've got Alomar, which is too expensive. Joe Carter has a lot of them. People just hold the line on the value in that. It's like the Carter would be the one that I'd want. I think Pat Borders is in it. Dwayne Ward would be a good candidate.
Dwayne Ward's. Yep.
Yeah, that's a good one. Juan Guzman is in it as well.
Who was wow.
Yeah, he made it into that one, because in 1993, Juan Guzman was still one of their best pitchers. because
Yeah.
he was a key player for them. But that
I
was one of those.
collected him. Wow.
Yeah, it was always great. Juan Guzman was fun to watch, but he'd get under these modes where he'd just pitch slow. It was just frustrating to watch. But
You
when he
mean
was,
his tempo?
yeah, his tempo, like he just start pitching slow, and I'd be like, no, no, why? And it was always very amusing to me. But there were a handful of Blue Jays in that year because 93 is when they won, and they had just come
Right.
off 92 when they had won. So your team is good. You get a decent amount of players in the checklist. You don't get relegated to being like, yeah, I'll give you a token player. Here you go.
Now, to blow your minds,
Our minds are going to be blown.
this is to Bob's point. Frank Thomas, 1990 tops, name on front,
Mm-hmm.
16,542 graded cards.
Okay.
No name on the front, graded 221.
Wow.
It's not too bad.
How
but
many
it's,
tens
it's
are-
definitely tough. Still definitely tough.
1910s,
Mhm.
93, no, 110, excuse me.
Yeah.
110.
110.
Well, remember 1990 tops, Bob? Those
Yeah.
things with all the
But I
colors, it would chip like
mean-
crazy.
I've seen that 110 then because I was at it was at the National on 19.
Nice.
It was on display. Who do you think had it? PWCC.
See, that would have been the second guess after Amish Dave Archer.
Yeah. Right.
19 9s, 93 8s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that card stock was
7s,
like bush.
Yeah, no, for sure. That-
3
that-
1s.
But that's the fundamental problem right there is that, like, if you think about that year and think about the design, think of how easily it'd be to chip an edge. Piece of cake. Like, it's a really colorful border. So it's
Yeah.
like you can chip the edge like crazy. You could scratch the thing easily. Like, there's plenty of ways you could damage that thing, no problem. And when somebody's pulling out of a pack, they have no idea. It's not like you get this weird indicator. Oh, by the way, you pulled the big card. Wait, it's like
That's a dumb
this is the big card. In this year, that's it.
Well, 90 tops had print dots too, really bad,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
really bad.
Yeah. So it's one of those
Now, of
things.
course-
Good.
No, I mean, a lot of the grading companies take that into consideration nowadays. If it's like a known quote unquote printing defect, they take that into consideration with grading cards. But for the longest time, that was, I personally think that was a thing as to why the grades on cards from 1990 tops may have been kind of hammered from a grade perspective.
Vinny,
For
you
whatever
still have
reason.
PSA up?
Yep. And just to add to that, what's rarer than that no name on front, there's apparently an air partial blacklist. So I guess the name partially appears. I'm not, it just says error, partial blacklist. There's only 4 of those, 3 in a 9 and 1 in a 6. So that's a little bit more rare than the whole. So I'm thinking it like has Frank Thomas, but it's not full the black color on the card.
Could you imagine it? Could you imagine if it was like your printer and it just partially ran out of ink? They're running it through. It's like, damn it! It's only half. Whatever. Put it in the packs. Who cares?
Put it in there.
Yeah, whatever. We don't do
What'd you
collate
do, Bob?
control.
Well, I was gonna look like cards that are infamously like the 78 tops Eddie Murray rookie or the Ozzie Smith rookie. Like those are notoriously off center. I just wonder how many I know there's more than one, but
Well, the big one that's still the most difficult is the 80 tops Ricky Henderson. It's disproportionately difficult to get in a 10
huh.
compared to even other 80s because some people have done some analysis on it and they're convinced that the 80 tops Ricky Henderson is the best argument for population control. Because if you look at how few 10s there are, even relative, because somebody actually went through the trouble of doing the analysis.
Now,
Of what
I've
fell
seen
in
that
shape.
video.
Yeah.
I've seen that video.
It was very well done. It was very well done.
It was done. I think that was the first video I watched of his.
Yeah, and he was trying to just figure it out. He's like, okay, where is it on the sheet? Who's beside him on the sheet? Who's in that section of the sheet? Is there anything else to correlate to? Nope. It's just really hard to get a 10 on this specific card.
1980.
Yeah, 1980 tops.
23,352 total graded. 25 and a 10.
Yep.
2,048 and a 9. 10,339 and an 8.
Yep.
5,904 and a 7. 2,730 and a 6. 1,261 and a 5. 694 and a 4. 223 and a 3. 2 PSA 2 is 83. 1.5 is null. 1 is 19. Authentic is 26.
Interesting. That is literally partial. The definition of partial. Okay,
That
so
could
not,
be
e-
it.
not even as bad as I thought. It's like
Yeah.
literally just there's a dot there. The H is a little bit messed up. There's a little bit there. Yeah, like it's not a lot.
Interesting.
Somebody could see something like that in a pile of Frank Thomas's and think it's just a damaged card.
Yep.
Seriously.
Like there's not much to it.
Look at the value that the IRP brings to you, the viewer.
So you're saying that we should mark this down the one time? It's like, but Dave's not even here. We found value.
Well, it's because I have access to the controls and I'm on a computer. So
So not only do we have the Oracle driving, we had chair, and we've got value. That's it. Time to retire this shit. We're out. Good night.
we have just surpassed the 3-hour mark. So it is close to closing up time for the evening anyways. So perfect segue, Carlos. Nicely played.
Listen, I had a play Yosemite Sonic, and if you were being monetized, you'd be demonetized.
So Bob, any closing thoughts?
Nope. I'll get at you on another note, but yeah, man. I again appreciate the nudge there. I wasn't planning on coming on, but I got the nod of approval, so here I am.
Good job by you, Bob.
I learned-
Excellent
I
job,
learned
Chair,
more
as
than-
always.
Pronunciation stuff. I learned that.
Listen, Bob learned how to. What did we learn today? We learned that Bob learned how to say Cabernet Sauvignon. I sold a damn lot of bottles of that shit. I never really liked wine. Never enjoyed it. Still don't. But I could sell it real well. You better know how to say. And I had to stare to many a person that pronounced it like you did. That was like that's truthful. And I have to be like. Tell you what, you take care of them. I'm out. I'm out. Yeah, the box wines are over there. that seems like
Bob's
your speed.
over there in the
That
aisle
seems
right
like
now.
your speed. It's like they're in a box. You take out a nozzle and you can just pour it in. You're good. You're good.
See where that chair is? That's where you need to go.
Bob's busting out with the name like they did on American Pie too. We got a nice bottle of Sauvignon.
Listen, I was
Peanut
just
Noir.
impressed. Bob came early with the thesaurus. I did enjoy when. Now Vinny also went to the thesaurus with wonderfulness. That's not an actual word, but if we really extend it, we could find a synonym for wonderfulness. There's a word for it somewhere.
Sure.
Carlos, anything you want to close out with?
I didn't take any vacations until I was 30, and when I was 30, I went to Vegas. That was a great vacation. There were cards there. I think I bought one. I was a little busy. It was my 30th birthday in Vegas, so the fact that I bought a card, I think, should count for something.
Did you win anything?
Actually, I did. I actually did very well at the poker table. Terrible at the roulette table, but it was a great story. Overall, I was up. I did overall leave Vegas with more money than I came with.
Well, there you go.
Can't complain.
Positive note on that side. Benny, anything from you?
Nope, just preparing myself for the closing, as was dubbed to me by Mr. Archer.
Oh my God!
Yep.
Are you listening? By the way, Crypto Wallet is on the list, right?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Oh, thank God!
Oh, so Vinny actually was taking notes.
Look at you.
So
I'm old. I have to take notes.
but here's the stipulation though, Vinny. You have to remember. You have to, make sure you point and making sure that, so you got to make sure you do it right. Don't mess it up. No, that's the wrong way. So with that, I have nothing more to add. I will say thanks everybody for joining. Thanks to Dave for popping in early on from the car, which was quite interesting. We did lose him early on, but he did make it back. Of course, thank you to Bob for popping on. Carlos, thanks for joining, as always. Vinny. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to the man of the hour, Vinny, with the outro.
As entrusted by David Archer II. That's Bob Lewis, YouTube Hall of Famer.
Ooh, that's for all that's worth.
That guy down there in that corner,
The other way.
that's Carlos. Because I'm Carlos. See him on Friday nights, usually around 9 p.m. Eastern Time, with the great Bobby Burrell and other guests.
Occasionally. Yes.
Occasionally.
I should just get Vinny on so he can do my outro. That'd be great.
That's that son of a gun.
Vinny, you look at the screen and you use it to help you. This is how I point at shit. This is how it works.
I know, but my brain's not wired that way because it's been a long day of work. I came on like 2 minutes before start time, so that's Steve, the Broncos 79. I have other choice words right now, but we're on air and I don't want to face the wrath of my father. You've been watching the Insert Revolution podcast. We accept payments such as PayPal, Venmo, Crypto Wallet, MoneyGram, Western Union, Zelle, Cash App, well-concealed cash. We also can be found on Discord, MySpace, OnlyFans, and adding this week, Twitch.
I will make them a fucking Discord. It'll be fantastic. I think I should. They won't have access to it, but I should actually make them a Discord. That'd be great.
It would.
Yeah. It'd be like, what is this Discord? Why are we not allowed in it? Please continue, Vinny.
Anytime. So, as Mr. Archer would say, collecting cards, it's great. It's dandy. It's wonderful.
Vinny, he'd do it after about 5 more minutes of outro.
Yeah, that's true. But hey, I'm not Dave.
You could just name off wines and Bob could be taking notes during this part.
Anywho, so collecting cards, that's wonderful. But seeing all these guys here every Tuesday night, that's what the hobby's all about, everybody. And those people in the chat. Thank you, and have a good night.
Good night, everybody.